History of a Haunting is proud to be a sponsor of the 2022 Dirt Days Festival in Williamson, West Virginia. One of Coal Country's largest off-road festivals takes over the city of Williamson every year on the last weekend of April. Thousands of riders invade the valley to take in the Hatfield-McCoy trails and more. If you love mud, trail riding, and great times with friends, Dirt Days is for you.
Some of the festival highlights for 2022 include over 500 miles of riding on the Hatfield-McCoy trail system, as well as additional trails in the Pike and Martin counties in Kentucky. There's going to be vendors, awesome local food, parade, mud pit, dirt drag racing, live music, photography-based poker run, and a fireworks show.
If you plan to attend, we recommend that you pre-register for Dirt Days. From now until April 13th, registration is only $50, and it includes an official Dirt Days goodie bag, a festival t-shirt, and a festival decal, Hatfield-McCoy Trails event wristband, and that gives you access to every Hatfield-McCoy Trail system, and it's only good for April 28th through May 1st. You get a 2022 Hatfield-McCoy Buffalo Mountain, Devil Ants, and Rock House trail maps, a Mud Pit Dirt Drag Area armband, 3 $5 food vouchers, official sponsor list, official event schedule, and various goodies from the sponsors, such as your very own HOAH koozie.
That's really the only reason that you guys need to be attending the event, so that you can have our koozie. To register, go to visitcoalcountry.org, and for more information, check out their official Facebook page, Dirt Days.
Let's get dirty.
Hi.
Hi.
How are we?
I don't know how we are. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing great. I've been a little harried. We got a lot of double recordings going on, and so I'm trying to make sure that, all the overlays and everything are set for all the different recordings that we're doing, because someone's going on vacation again. And so
That would be you. St. Albans?
That's next Friday. You're leaving this
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, well. You're still going on vacation too.
Well, I mean, is a paranormal investigation a vacation? I think so.
That's your idea of a good time.
That's my idea of a good time. Anyway, hi guys. Welcome to History of a Haunting. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Laura.
And we have a very, very special episode for you this week. Super excited. We have a very special guest host. You've probably seen the promos, and we're going to be bringing him on a little later. He's actually going to be doing my part of the episode today. So I don't have any EVPs. We've got our new promos going. You guys heard our Dirt Days promo before the intro in the beginning of this episode. And that's really all I have. Laura, do you have anything as far as EVPs? Should I put up the little EVP thing?
I don't have anything.
So
I'm
that was a
excited.
waste of an overlay?
It sure was. But I am excited for this episode and for David.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah. So he's waiting in the wings, and we will bring him on as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, guys, we've pretty much already said it. We are going to be talking to you today all about the Oman House. So, Laura, Sweet Pea, take it away with your sources.
All right, my sources for today are Vox.com, articles by Alyssa Wilkinson, and another by A. Romero, Wikipedia.org, Britannica.org, and VelvetRopes.com.
Yay!
Yay for sources.
Yay for sources!
So today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the true crime history aspect of the Oman House. So, and that is the Tate murders.
The Sharon Tate murders, yes.
The Sharon Tate murders.
Yes.
So, I'm sure most of you kind of know the story, at least a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you kind of an abridged version to give you an idea of what transpired.
Yes. But if you
Okay.
want in-depth true crime stories, join us on Patreon because we bring those every month.
We sure
Hey,
do.
shameless
And do we
plug.
bring them?
And do we bring them? Wow. Yes.
We really do. I know I'm really enjoying it. I think you are too.
I really
So,
am, yeah. So this is Laura's
yeah,
going to be giving you a little teaser true crime.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right. So when 5 people were murdered at Sharon Tate's house on the night of August 8th and 9th in 1969, the reverberations went far beyond the elite Hollywood community of which she was part. They were felt far beyond Los Angeles, too. By that fall, when police connected the murders and those of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca the following night to Charles Manson and his cult-like family, Manson was well on his way to infamy, becoming a murderous icon and a symbol of an age. Similarly, the murders would for many feel like the definitive end of the 1960s and the optimism that went along with it. As Joan Didion wrote in her essay, The White Album, many people I know in Los Angeles, quote, sorry, many people I know in Los Angeles believe that the 60s ended abruptly on August 9th, 1969, ended at the exact moment when word of the murders on Cielo Drive traveled like brush fire through the community. And in a sense, this is true. The tension broke that day. The paranoia was fulfilled, end quote.
Yeah. And it just got fucking worse from there.
It sure did.
Really?
The ritualistic nature of the killing set the stage for the rise of satanic panic, a phenomenon that never went fully away. And
Yeah.
Manson continues to loom large in the cultural imagination, even 50 years after the murders, and years after his own death. So how did we get to that fateful night? Let's go back to the beginning. Charles Manson was born on November 12th in 1935 in Ohio. His mother, Catherine Maddox, was a teen. Charles' biological father abandoned her before the baby's birth. She then married William Manson shortly before the baby was born, and soon started calling her son Charles Miles Manson after her new husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that wasn't even his father's name. It's just like a
Well,
father's
didn't
name.
he go by like for a while until she met this guy, and he was just sort of kind of known as No Name Maddox, or is that
Yeah.
a name that he had adopted later, or
No, his mom was
she
very
just never gave him
reluctant.
a
Mother,
name?
yeah, she like almost
Okay,
didn't even give him a name for a while. Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
what I thought. All right.
Um, Again, Reader's Digest version. So, Manson grew up with his mother's relatives in an allegedly neglectful and abusive environment. By age 13, he had begun committing various petty crimes, including robbery. And in 1949, he was detained at the Indiana Boys School, where he endured sexual assault and abuse. Over a period of several escape attempts and transfers to numerous juvenile centers, he began committing violent sexual assaults on the other boys and was ultimately transferred to the Ohio Federal Reformatory in 1952. When he was 19 years old in 1954, Manson was released to his aunt and uncle in West Virginia, and for a brief time he appeared to settle down, marrying and moving to Los Angeles.
Ah,
But Manson continued to commit crimes, and in 1957 he was sentenced to 30 years in a Los Angeles prison, during which his wife filed for divorce. The decade spanning 1957 to 1967 was turbulent for Manson. He spent much of it in a cycle of suspended sentences, probation violation, and imprisonment.
okay.
He became a pimp, was briefly married to a sex worker,
Ugh.
and began exploring ways to achieve Hollywood fame.
Not that
He took guitar
he married a
lessons.
sex worker, but he was a pimp.
Yeah. Well, those skills, later came in handy
Right?
for
Yeah.
what he did with the family.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
he did take guitar lessons, though according to one producer who would later attempt to work with him, he was an quote unmitigated disaster. Paid
Oh.
careful, right? He paid careful attention to the Beatles, developed ambitions of becoming a singer-songwriter, and attempted to gain insider connections to film studios. Meanwhile, he carefully studied religion as a tool of control and manipulation, especially Scientology, along with social engineering. He also sought the advice of other career criminals, including pimps, who taught him techniques for successfully coercing and breaking down the resistance of women under his control.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was very calculating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was. After his prison release in 1967, Manson moved to San Francisco, the center of the countercultural revolution.
Yeah.
The post prison world he walked into was a new one, awash with hippies who openly rejected social norms and formed idyllic enclaves, ostensibly free of restrictions and taboos.
Yeah.
But Manson exploited the drug happy, free-willing goodwill of the era by bonding with his would be followers and then luring them into manipulative relationships.
Okay.
He traveled throughout California, approaching young women in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, as well as Los Angeles' Venice Beach, presenting himself as a religious figure and urging them to follow him by surrendering their identities to him completely. His follower count grew, and in the fall of 1967, Manson packed up the family and moved them to Los Angeles toward his dreams of Hollywood stardom.
Yeah. What is it? My favorite murder says, you're in a cult, go call your dad.
100%. So in Hollywood, Manson began to work with his music industry connections. He was soon making inroads with music producers and actors. By far, Manson's most valuable connection, however, was one he made through two of his female cult members while they were hitchhiking.
Okay.
Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Most people have regrets in their life, but that dude, has like all the regrets.
He really did. And they say it really contributed to his downturn.
Really?
Yeah, after Manson. And he was long disconnected from Manson when the murders and the stuff came out.
Yeah.
But because he was associated so strongly with Manson, yeah, I think he was really, he felt a lot of guilt, I think, and he was really upset, according to what people say, and that didn't help his slide into alcoholism and drug abuse.
I don't doubt it.
No.
Yeah.
So Manson was especially successful in manipulating Wilson. Throughout 1968, Wilson allowed Manson and the family to live in his house on Sunset Boulevard and lent Manson hundreds of thousands of dollars to help him record an album.
Oh my God.
In exchange for sexual gratification from Manson's female followers. Wilson's
that had
manager
to be some damn good sex. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Wilson's manager finally evicted the family in August of 1968. They ended up at Spawn Movie Ranch, a popular site for filming westerns, where once again Manson traded the sexual favors of his female followers to the ranch's owner in exchange for free room and board.
And the guy was like 90 years old and blind.
Super old.
Yeah.
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 And one of the girls kind of lived with him all the time and like took care of him. And
yeah, I can't remember what her name was. Mary something, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So Wilson tried to promote Manson's music and even convinced the Beach Boys to record one of Manson's songs.
Oh.
He also introduced Manson to Terry Melcher, the son of Doris Day.
I didn't know he was the son of Doris Day.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, although Melcher was a record producer, he put off the issue of whether he would sign Manson. He did stay friendly with the family. During this time, Melcher also dated up-and-coming Hollywood star Candice Bergen.
I did know that.
Who was renting a house at 150 Cielo Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Murphy Brown. Young Murphy Brown. As a result of Melcher's delay over signing Manson to a record deal, the relationship between Wilson and Manson began to sour. As Wilson chafed under Manson's treatment of him and his money, by the time Manson's song Cease to Exist was released as a Beach Boys single in December 1968, the title had been changed to Never Learn Not to Love. Manson's blues influence had been swapped for the Beach Boys' familiar pop sound, and Manson had been denied a songwriting credit. In response to the snub, Manson allegedly threatened to kill Wilson. Yeah, these threats, combined with his general lack of talent, his violent temper, his flagrant racism, and his tendency to rant about an upcoming race war, had all contributed to Melcher finally shying away from helping Manson with his musical career. According to Beach Boys member
You're a bit
Mike
too
Love,
much, son.
right?
God.
So according to Mike Love, it was Melcher's mom Doris Day, who became alarmed at the friendship developing between Manson and her son,
Whoa.
and convinced Melcher and Bergen to move out of the Cielo house, Drive house in January of 1969. In June, Melcher finally told Manson that he wouldn't be signing him to a record deal. By the summer of 1969, it was clear that Manson's dreams of Hollywood stardom were over.
That was short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, he met and was around so many celebrities.
So many celebrities.
So many
like
famous people.
Yeah, you're talking about all of this and I'm like, how did that happen? Like, how did that happen? Granted, I'm sure it's probably more difficult today to get to be friends with a celebrity. And, I'm sure that it is. But still, it just seems so, I don't know, unlikely, I guess, is the best word. That he, of all people, yeah. But he was very charming, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And he was said to... Yes, be charming. And then he had girls around him all the time.
Yeah.
The 60s, drugs, girls,
Yeah. Yeah. I just have boxed wine and dogs around me all the time.
Right? You're living your best life.
I am living my best life.
Manson was aware that Melcher and Bergen had moved out of the house on Cielo Drive. In fact, the house was now being rented by filmmaker Roman Polanski and his wife, Valley of the Dolls actress Sharon Tate. But Manson seemed to have the house fixed in his head as a microcosm of Hollywood itself, everything he'd been denied. So in August 1969, with his paranoia increasing and his commune under apparent threat, he ordered a group of his followers to visit the address and kill everyone inside.
Jesus.
Yeah, so Manson ordered his followers to commit the Tate and the LaBianca murders because he was trying to jumpstart what he purported to believe would be the coming race war between the government and black citizens, in particular the Black Panthers, whom he hated. Manson had dubbed this movement Helter Skelter, preaching that the Beatles' White Album, song of the same name, which was written about an amusement park, he was saying that was actually about the forthcoming war. So throughout the summer of 1969, Manson had been hinting to his followers that if Black Americans didn't start Helter Skelter, the family had to help it along.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So Manson also wanted to distract the law from other crimes. So in May of 1969, he had non-fatally shot a drug dealer named Bernard Latsapapa Crow after a dispute over a drug payment.
Okay.
2 months later, Manson had urged several of his followers to steal money from a friend of his named Gary Hinman. After 2 days of holding Hinman hostage, during which Manson cut Hinman's ear, Manson follower Bobby Beausoleil killed Hinman. The family members attempted to blame Hinman's death on the Black Panthers by writing "Political Piggy" and a Black Panther symbol in blood on the wall, but Beausoleil was arrested for the murder and taken into custody on August 6th. So Manson's goal was to have his followers kill everyone at the house on Cielo Drive and make the killings look like the Hinman killing in order to divert police suspicion from the captive Beausoleil.
Okay.
So on August 8th and 9th, 1969, Tex Watson took Manson followers Patricia Krenwinkel, Susan Atkins, and Linda Kasabian to the house on Cielo Drive, where all of them, except Kasabian, who was horrified, proceeded to kill Tate and 4 guests. The occupants of the house at Cielo Drive that evening were movie actress Sharon Tate, who was 8.5 months pregnant and the wife of film director Roman Polanski, her friend and former lover Jay Sebring, a noted celebrity hairstylist, Polanski's friend Wojciech Frykowski, and Frykowski's girlfriend Abigail Folger, who was heiress to the Folgers' coffee fortune and daughter of Peter Folger.
Yep.
Also present on the property were William Garrettson and Stephen Parent. Polanski was away in Europe working on a film. So Watson and the 3 women arrived at Cielo Drive just past midnight. Watson climbed a telephone pole near the entrance gate and cut the phone line to the house. The group backed their car to the bottom of the hill that led to the estate and walked back up to the house. They thought that the gate might be electrified or equipped with an alarm, so they climbed a brushy embankment to the right of the gate and entered the grounds. Headlights approached them from within the property, and Watson ordered the women to lie in the bushes. He stepped out and ordered the approaching driver to halt. Stephen Parent had been visiting the property's caretaker, William Garrettson, who lived in the guest house. Watson leveled a .22 caliber revolver at Parent, who begged him not to hurt him, claiming that he would not say anything. Watson lunged at Parent with a knife, giving him a defensive slash wound on the palm of his hand that severed tendons and tore the boy's watch off his wrist, then shot him 4 times in the chest and abdomen, killing him. Watson ordered the women to help push the car further up the driveway. So Watson next cut the screen of a window, then told Kasabian to keep watch down by the gate. She walked over to Parent's car and waited. Watson removed the screen, entered through the window, and let Atkins and Krenwinkel in through the front door. He whispered to Atkins and awoke Frykowski, who was sleeping on the living room couch. Watson kicked him in the head, and Frykowski asked him who he was and what he was doing there. Watson replied, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business." On Watson's direction, Atkins found the house's 3 other occupants with Krenwinkel's help and forced them into the living room. Watson began to tie Tate and Sebring together by their necks with rope, which he had brought, then slung it over one of the living room's ceiling beams. So does that make sense? Like he tied each of them around their neck and then it went over. Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen the crime scene photos?
I have.
Yeah.
Sebring protested the murderer's rough treatment of the pregnant Tate, so Watson shot him. Folger was taken momentarily back to her bedroom for her purse, and she gave the murderers $70. That's all she had. Watson then stabbed Sebring 7 times.
Jesus.
So Frykowski's hands had been bound with a towel, but he freed himself and began struggling with Atkins, who stabbed at his legs with a knife. He fought his way out the front door and onto the porch, but Watson caught up with him, struck him over the head with a gun multiple times, stabbed him repeatedly, and shot him twice.
God damn.
Yeah. Kasabian had heard, quote, horrifying sounds and moved towards the house from her position in the driveway. She told Atkins that someone was coming in an attempt to stop the murders, supposedly. Yeah. Inside the house, Folger escaped from Krenwinkel and fled out a bedroom door to the pool area. Krenwinkel pursued her and caught her on the front lawn where she stabbed her and tackled her to the ground. Watson then helped finish her off. Her assailant stabbed her a total of 28 times.
Yeah.
Frykowski struggled across the lawn, but Watson continued to stab him, killing him. Frykowski suffered 51 stab wounds and had also been struck 13 times in the head with the butt of Watson's gun, which bent the barrel and broke off one side of the gun grip, which was recovered at the scene.
I do remember that the gun grip broke, but I didn't realize it bent the barrel.
Yeah, like that was intense.
That's really, really intense. And Folger was wearing a white nightgown, and when their bodies were discovered, the police thought it was a red nightgown because it was completely covered in blood. They didn't realize it was white.
Yeah, if you look at the crime scene photos, you can see it.
Which we are not putting up, guys. We're not putting any of these photos.
If you want to see them, you have to go look yourself. We're not.
Go look yourself. Yeah, we're not putting any of these photos up. No, we don't even do it for the Patreon. So don't think that you can come to Patreon and see gory pictures. We're not doing that either.
No, it's exploitive.
For sure.
In the house, Tate pleaded to be allowed to live long enough to give birth and offered herself as a hostage in an attempt to save the life of her unborn child. But both Atkins and Watson stabbed Tate 16 times, killing her. Yeah, have you ever heard them talking about the murders?
Yeah.
Afterwards when they confessed? Like how fucking just without emotion they are?
Absolutely without emotion, remorse. They thought it was funny. Yeah. I know you haven't read the book Helter Skelter, but have you seen the movie Helter Skelter with Stephen Railsback as Manson? The actors that they found are so good because it was made in the 70s, shortly after he wrote the book. The actors are so good, and so the woman that plays Susan Atkins is so haunting.
Susan Atkins herself, man. I watched her interview and she makes me fucking sick.
Yes, and it's just really terrifying to look at the actual woman. Granted, she's dead now, but the actress that plays her portrayed that just soulless vibe
Blank.
so blank. Yes, blank looks so well. It was really hard to look at her on screen. She was really great. I recommend it to everybody. Yeah.
I can imagine. So according to Watson, Manson had told the women to leave a sign, something witchy. So
That's such a
Atkins wrote
60s
pig.
thing to say.
Yeah. Atkins wrote pig on the front door in Tate's blood. Atkins claimed she did this to copycat the murder scene of Gary Hinman in order to get Manson family member Bobby Boussalet out of jail, who was in custody for the murder. The crimes created a panic in Los Angeles, especially given their horrific nature. No surprise. Frykowski had been stabbed more than 50 times and shot twice. Investigators were initially baffled and failed to make the connection between this murder scene and that of the LaBiancas, with detectives convinced that a drug transaction was a likely trigger for the Tate murders. Frykowski was trying to become some kind of big shot dealer to the stars.
Oh, really?
And that's, I think, a big reason for that. And then
Oh,
I don't know how they could not connect these. But, however, in October 1969, various members of the Manson cult were arrested at their base, Spawn Ranch, accused of stealing vehicles and burning equipment. Atkins was jailed, and while there, she boasted to cellmates of the Tate murders. And by year's end, all of the killers had been arrested.
Yeah. Yep.
So the 5 perpetrators, Atkins, Kronenwinkel, Manson, Van Houten, and Watson. Van Houten was in the LaBianca, whatever.
She went the second night. Yeah.
She was in the second night, were each tried and convicted for their roles in the Tate LaBianca murders. Originally, each defendant received a death sentence. However, in 1972, the Supreme Court of California ruled that the state's then current death penalty laws were unconstitutional. As a result, the decision spared the lives of 107 death row inmates in California, including Charles Manson and his 4 family members.
Yeah.
Subsequently, the death sentence for each of the 5 perpetrators was commuted to life in prison, which by law includes the possibility of parole.
Yes.
So Susan Atkins, she remained in prison until her death from brain cancer at age 61 in 2009. At the time of her death, she was California's longest-serving female inmate. Atkins had been denied parole 14 times, and her request for compassionate release was also denied.
Which I thought was the most ludicrous bullshit ever. But also her husband was her attorney who had filed for... She got married! Just like Richard Ramirez. Who is marrying these fucking psychos?
I don't know.
But anyway, yes, I remember reading that and thinking, compassionate release? Because you lost your leg and you have brain cancer? No. I think that's ludicrous. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Patricia Kronenwinkel, imprisoned in 1971. She remains incarcerated. Following the death of Susan Atkins, she's now the longest incarcerated female inmate in the California penal system.
Yay!
She has been denied parole 14 times, but she's up again this year.
Oh, really?
So Manson remained imprisoned until his death from cardiac arrest in 2017. He was just a few days past his 83rd birthday and had spent all but 13 years of his life in some sort of supervised setting.
Yeah.
Either prison, reformatory, or boys' home.
Boys' home, whatever. 12 hours at Trans-Allegheny. Yeah.
Right. So while in prison, Manson had been denied parole 12 times. And after 1997, he refused to attend any of his parole hearings.
Yeah.
Leslie Van Houten, upon her conviction and death sentence in 1971 at the age of 21, Van Houten became the youngest woman ever put on California's death row, as well as the youngest member of the Manson family convicted of murder.
Yeah.
Her original conviction and death sentence was overturned on appeal. She was later retried and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. She is still currently incarcerated. She has been denied parole 22 times, and most recently in 2021. At her three most recent parole hearings, Van Houten was approved for parole by the board, but in each case, the board's decision was overturned by California's governor. So first Jerry Brown overturned it, and
Yeah.
most recently Gavin Newsom overturned it.
Yeah.
They're never going to let them out.
I think if they were, she is the only one I think that they would allow out, but I really think that there are still enough people, a lot that, you know, I don't think she would have much of a life outside of prison, because I feel like some nut would try to take her out. Honestly.
That's possible.
But I don't,
I mean,
I'm
she'd
like you,
certainly
I
be a
don't.
curiosity, you know.
Yeah, and what kind of life could she possibly have? Like, what is she going to be, a librarian? Like, but it's entirely, I mean, they say of all of them, she is the most likely one to be released, but I don't think as long as any of the victims' families are still alive, I think they'll all die in prison.
Yeah, and so to onto Mr. Tex Watson. He also remains incarcerated. He has been denied parole 17 times, most recently in 2021. While imprisoned, Watson claims that he has become a born-again Christian. So, what has happened to the house in the scene of the crime? So, at the time of the murders, it was owned by Rudolph Altabelli. He was a talent manager who rented it out to the victims, and prior to, Terry Melcher and Candace Bergen.
Sure.
So he moved back into the house just 3 weeks after the murders and
Ugh.
resided there until 1988. I know, I can't believe it. But
He
during
resided
an
there for
interview-
almost 20 years?
Yeah. And during an interview on 2020, he said that while living there, he felt, quote, safe, secure, loved, and beauty, unquote. The house then changed hands once he sold it several times. After that, it went to like many different real estate investors.
Sure.
The final resident of the original house was the musician Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. Reznor rented the house and set up a recording studio there. This studio, dubbed Pig, in reference to murderer Susan Atkins writing pig and Tate's blood on the front house of the door, was the site of the recording sessions for most of the Nine Inch Nails album, The Downward Spiral.
Which was
Reznor
my very favorite album when it came out. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a big Nine Inch Nails fan. I really am, actually. So Reznor moved out in December 1993, later explaining there was too much history in that house for me to handle. Reznor made a statement about working in the Tate house during a 1997 interview with Rolling Stone. He said, while I was working on Downward Spiral, I was living in the house where Sharon Tate was killed. Then one day I met her sister. It was a random thing, just a brief encounter. And she said, are you exploiting my sister's death by living in her house? For the first time, the whole thing kind of slapped me in the face. I said, no, it's just sort of my own interest in American folklore. I'm in this place where a weird part of history occurred. I guess it never really struck me before, but it did then. She lost her sister from a senseless, ignorant situation that I don't want to support. When she was talking to me, I realized for the first time, what if it was my sister? I thought, fuck Charles Manson. I don't want to be looked at as a guy who supports serial killer bullshit.
Yeah.
Reznor took the front door of the house with him when he moved out, however, installing it at Nothing Studios, his new recording studio. After continuing to rent out the house, Alvin Weintraub had it demolished in 1994. And construction on a new home began later in that same year. In 1996, the newly constructed home was completed that he named Villa Bella and obtained a new address for the property.
Yeah.
And so Weintraub assured Los Angeles Magazine that this was certainly not the Manson murder house. Quote, we went to great pains to get rid of everything. There's no house, no dirt, no blade of grass remotely connected to Sharon Tate.
Wow. There would almost have to be.
Yeah.
You would almost have to complete. I don't even know how far down you'd have to dig to get the blood out of that ground.
I know. It's foul.
Foul.
So, however, when this was happening, when the Tate house was being demolished, There was another house being built 150 feet away from where the Tate house stood. That was being built by our guest and his father.
Yep. And we are going to bring him on here in just a minute. He is going to talk about all things haunted with his home. You will have seen him on Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Witness. He's been on, God, I can't even list all of the different shows that he has been on. He has written and directed his own movie, The House at the End of the Street, about his experiences in the house. And he's also written a book called The Ghosts of Cielo Drive. We are going to bring David Oman on here in just a second so that he can talk about, like I said, all the things haunting, because who knows better than him. We will be right back. Maybe, if I can figure out what I'm doing. We'll be right back. My little thing shut off. I don't know. If you've never heard of Reiki before, or have heard of it but never tried it, now is your wonderful chance. Reiki is a Japanese complementary health approach using the goal of directing energy to help facilitate the person's own healing response.
It's based on the belief in an energy that supports the body's innate or natural healing abilities. It has been used to help with relaxation, anxiety, pain management, depression, focus, and so much more.
Erin Bush of Soul Waves Spiritual Wellness is a certified Reiki healer and brings her offerings to the listeners here at History of a Haunting.
Erin channels the universal life source energy that connects us all to work its magic to kickstart your body's innate ability to heal.
With a free initial consultation, a variety of options best suited for your personal needs, and all done over Zoom, contact Erin at Soul Waves Spiritual Wellness today at soulwavesekb@gmail.com or call her at 904-438-4604.
Soul Wave Spiritual Wellness. Take your power back and get started on your healing journey. That's soulwavesekb@gmail.com or by phone at 904-438-4604.
Hi guys, we have a really wonderful guest joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. My friend, and now Laura's friend, the David Oman. Hi.
Hi girls, how are you, Carrie, Laura?
We are doing great. Hello.
Hello.
So we're in a bit of a different show today, guys. David is actually going to be doing my part, and he's going to be talking all about the hauntings, because who would know the hauntings of his home better than him? So, David, why don't you tell us, for the folks that don't know, and most of our listeners already do, but for the folks that don't, we're getting new listeners all the time. You purchased land that was, 150, 200 feet from the site of the Sharon Tate murders, correct?
Yeah, from the property that was formerly known as the Sharon Tate murders, yes.
Yeah. So, things began you started noticing paranormal activity almost as soon as construction began, correct?
Yeah, even actually before construction, when I was here interring my cat Arthur, my first pet, into the earth here, because I said I'm going to, basically show my respects to my pet and say, look, I'm not going to cremate you. I'm going to bury you whole body on the side of the hill on the property that we just bought, because I was saying that this is going to be where I'm going to live for the rest of my life.
Okay.
And when my friend and I lowered ourselves down the hill about 15 feet from the street, we started excavating and, digging his burial, his grave. Mm-hmm. As we lowered him into the earth, and he was wrapped in some pair of jeans of mine as a burial shroud, I said, we were saying a prayer over him as we were putting the earth on there. I said, Sean, I have the strangest feeling that I'm being buoyed up by a group of people, like mourners here. And he said, and we're on the slope of the hill, so we're literally about 15 feet from the street. Here's the street, and we're 15 feet down on the slope of the hill on this angle, sitting there. And he goes, I have to tell you something. I said, I feel the same thing. I just all of a sudden felt this overwhelming sense of a group of people around us, watching us, and being a part of this. And I said, yeah, that's strange. That's so strange. And that was like the first time that I was able to confirm that with somebody else that was with me, and it wasn't just me thinking, I mean, it's easy for one person to presuppose what you feel.
Sure.
It's another thing to have that feeling confirmed by somebody else that's out, with you there, that's able to corroborate what they're connecting to. And it was like, okay. Because he could have said, I don't feel a thing. But
right.
He wasn't being patronizing. He's saying, because at the moment, he was being dead honest. He wasn't the type of person to tell you what you wanted to hear. As I would basically say it in a nutshell. He was a person that was pretty blunt and direct and would say, this is this, this is this.
Wow. And you hadn't broken ground on the house yet, right?
No.
Okay. Why did you choose that?
Going back to Arthur, when we broke ground for the house.
Yes. Now, why did you choose that lot to build your home in? Because, I mean, Benedict Canyon is a beautiful area. It's a beautiful place to live. Is that why? Or why did you choose that specific plot of land? Because it's a very unique plot of land.
I didn't choose it as much as it chose me. And people go, what does that mean? And the more I think about it, the more I try to explain that to people in this sense. I couldn't have afforded to buy this lot at retail value. The retail value was over $300,000.
Yeah. And
the fact that when we bought it and when we first saw it, we realized that there was $100,000 worth of improvements here on the property in the name of 13 caissons. They were pre-drilled holes that had these concrete piles going down into them that were reinforced, and the rebar on top of the property, on top of the hillside that was there from the previous construction.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about $400,000 worth of value. And my dad called me up on a Sunday morning in late November 1998 and said, at 8 o'clock in the morning, he woke me up and said, David, get up. I found something. It's like, Dad, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. What are you talking about? And I was like exhausted. I probably went to sleep probably about 2 in the morning. So at 8 in the morning, hearing him telling me this, I'm going, yeah, okay, Dad, well, what? And he goes, it's a lot. It's like, all right, what? And he goes, it's there's a lot for sale in Beverly Hills for $40,000, and it's in the Sunday classified ads. I want you to go and meet me at this location. And I started to think to myself, yeah, okay, Dad, yeah. And let me guess, the ad in the classified section says 40K. He goes, yeah. I said, Dad, it's a misprint. There's no way in Beverly Hills a lot for sale for $40,000. And again, this is in 1998. So at that time, like I said, the property would have been worth about $400,000 with the improvements.
Sure.
So I said, Dad, come on. And I kept on trying to get over it. He's like, forget it. And he's like, get off your ass, get up and meet me. And at that point I realized, okay, fine. I'm not going to win. I got to just go along with it. And furthermore, I started hearing a voice in my head say, what if you have to lose?
Yeah. What if it's true?
Who knows? I said, fine. So I rambled my ass up. Remember, I got the dogs, my 2 dogs, my Rhodesian Ridgeback Sebastian and my Mutt Stella. And I said, come on, you 2. I'm not doing this alone. I grabbed the trigger. I jumped in my 1988 Toyota RAV4. I motor on up Benedict Canyon. Remember, there is no MapQuest.
No.
There is no Google Maps. No. This doesn't exist. And I had to get out this thing called the Thomas Guide, which is basically a street map guide. So in the back, you look up the name of a street, and then it says go to page X to 34, and then look up quadrant A, section B or C.
Yes.
A, and the section is. All right, so there's the hell it is. Then you got to look on the other page and flip through the pages to find where on this page below it goes, because it says continues on page 16. So you go to page 16 and you go, all right, here we are, quadrant A. Oh no, it's quadrant B. I just he goes, where the hell am I? I'm on quadrant page 24.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm on quadrant C. Level 6. Holy crap!
Yeah. Kids, this is how we got around. Yeah.
This is how we got around. I mean, I can grab a gosh darn, one to show the kids out there to see what the hell this is about. I go, this is real.
This is exactly how it was.
This is how it really was, and I was there.
Yeah.
Which I'm going. This was this TV show from the 70s called "And You Were There." And
Yeah.
It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You ever been off a show? My God, call it what it was. Not I was there. Who the hell are you? So I found this in the drive up, and the name Cielo Drive isn't like ringing, buzzing bells and buzzing in my ear, going Cielo Drive, Cielo Drive. What's about Cielo Drive? I'm not making the connection.
Okay.
And again, this is 1998, so 69. So it's like 30 years after the murders.
Okay.
And it's not. Manson isn't a big topic. There isn't social media.
Yeah.
First of all, second of all, he's a gosh darn just some schmuck in gosh darn jail.
Mm-hmm.
For these murders. Or orchestrating them. Sorry. So I get up the street and I start driving up Benedict Canyon. I go up and I make the left onto Cielo and I go up the street and start getting like tingling feelings all of a sudden, thinking to myself. And then I start to realize when I go up the private drive and I go down this thing and I started coming around the bend, I started realizing this is where I used to go in high school with my friends. Because when I was like 15 years old, my friends used to drive up to the Tate house, which was there, and we used to go look at the house because it was there. It was only torn down in 1994.
Right.
So we used to go there and there was a chain link fence in front of the property. I'll never forget. And you could look into the driveway, but you couldn't see anything except for pavement.
Sure.
Because the house sat well around the right side. So it was all the way tucked away onto the right. But I remember going up there, and my friends used to drink and party. And I used to remember the very first time I went there. And ever since that time, which I went there then, go up to the gate and I bow my head and say a prayer because we'd all read Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
And in my estimation, the least I could do was show my respects for those who had died there, the tragedy. And everybody else is drinking and smoking, and I'm like, no, you got to show some respect for what happened here. You can't just treat this like, like it's just some chill place to hang. It's like, and I also remember that there were newspapers stacked up in front of the fence, the chain link fence, that were just sitting there, piles of them, going, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this flashback and going, oh my God, and my dad drives up and I'm making the connection. And meantime, I'm looking down at this property and there's a new chain link fence. But instead of seeing what I remember seeing, which was this old rickety wooden fence on the left that was all planks, all I saw was construction and just broken asphalt and then empty gravel going in. And a big yellow bin there at the front, and just what I could see was there's something being built, and some new pieces of architecture in the front for the new gate that was being built in front of it, and it looked like this McMansion, just looked like this big obnoxious mansion. And I said to my dad, he drives up, and I said, Dad, that's where the Tate murders took place. And he goes, I don't give a shit about that. That's some 30-odd years ago. He goes, we're here to look at this piece of real estate. And I look down the slope of this hill and I go, Jesus Christ, I said, that's pretty damn steep. And he goes,
yeah.
Do you notice? Do you see what I see? And I'm like, what are you talking? He goes, and I started noticing, looking closely, there's this like blackish, brownish, rust-colored material that's sitting on top. You can see it through the weeds because the whole hillside's got a few trees and it's covered with weeds and it's thick. And I'm looking down there going, I said, is that rebar? And he goes, yeah, that's rebar. Because somebody started building a house here, and for some reason the city held them up, and the banks foreclosed on them years later, and that's what this is.
So that's why the price was $40,000.
As it turns out, the city had denoted that the property on the original street plans showed it as a private drive. And then somewhere in through the years, they changed the the street maps were updated. Instead of saying private drive, it said private street, which to you and I is semantics, but in a legal reference, it's a huge difference to the city. And the statements were that the city takes care of the property. Let me see, private drive. Let me do it this way: private street has to be a minimum of 20 feet wide and have a 38-foot round area for a turnaround for emergency vehicles like fire trucks.
Okay.
And the city provides the electrical, the sewer lines, and all utilities up to the properties. And the city maintains the street and imposes the speed limit. Will have to take care of the maintenance of the street.
Sure.
And the upkeep of the street, meaning they have to pave it, and the private drive is the exact opposite. Meaning
it's all you.
It doesn't have to be any specific width. It does not get maintained by the city. It doesn't get paid by the city. The city doesn't control the speed limit. Such as an example would be a privately owned property like a motor speedway that has speeds going over 100 and some odd 200 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
They don't have to obey the speed laws.
That makes sense.
So in private drive, you don't have to obey the speed laws. We go 100 miles an hour. You can't give somebody a ticket on a private drive for 100 miles an hour.
Okay.
If you could.
Right.
But that's an example.
Okay.
And the utilities and the sewer lines and all that stuff have to be brought up and taken care of by the property owners.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we didn't need a 38-foot wide turnaround. So what happened was, he looked through the maps and he said, wait a second. This map was dated 1980. This map was dated 1985. This was dated 1990. And somewhere in the lines of communication, somebody mistransposed private drive to private street. And it was originally designated as a private drive. And therefore, the person that started building here, turns out they were building, and the neighbor complained when they were going from the city, and the city looked it up and said, it's a private street. You can't put another house on this property. This is now a private street. Nobody took the time to look backwards and file for the petition saying that this is wrong and it should be resolved. As a result, the guy said, well, I can't build on this, foreclose on me. And so the bank foreclosed on his building loan, and the property went in foreclosure. So some 10 years later, it went up for sale.
Wow.
And we ended up being the beneficiaries of it and buying the property in January of 1999.
Okay.
Spent the next close to 3 3/4 years building this house.
Okay. And you had a lot of the folks that were working on the construction of your home had experiences of their own. Is that correct? I believe there was a story where there was a construction worker who had an experience and decided, well, this has been great, but I'm done here, and just left. Is that correct?
Yeah, the story goes this. The laborers at 6 months, let me see, it was 6 months before we were done, I assembled the original crew that was working on the house, and I think there was 5 guys between the ages of 16 and 34. The 34-year-old being the father to the 16-year-old kid that was working on the job. And I asked him, I said, look, since we're finished up with the rough construction, we're going to the final construction, which was the finished construction, putting in the carpeting and putting in the light fixtures and the finished plumbing and stuff. So the guys were basically done with the framing and the actual construction of the house.
Drywall, all of that fun stuff.
Drywall and all the painting and stuff. So all that was done. We were now installing the floors, the hardwood floors and stuff throughout the house, and the carpeting. So their time was done in the house. And I said, look, since you guys have been here for the past 2.5, 3 years, have any of you guys had any weird experiences during construction? And one of the guys raised his hand and said, yeah, I had some strange shit happen to me 6 months earlier. And I said, like what? And he basically went on to say that it was mid-July, and he was working on the house. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening, He was the last one on the job. He was the guy that was putting in the tiles in the bathrooms. And he said that he was on the third floor and he's packing his bags up, and he heard the sound of voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. Now, again, to help the audience understand what we're talking about when we say top floor, bottom floor, I'm going to get a picture to show you guys from my book so you can see what it looked like. I wish I would have been more prepared for this, but shit, that's not it. Let me see. Ah, here we go. That's the house.
Okay.
This that up here is the top floor, which we call the top floor because it's on street level. And then this is during construction, of course. This being the top floor, this being the second floor, this being the third floor down.
Oh, okay.
And what you see here, that right there is the street.
The road, okay.
As a matter of fact, if you look in this picture, this is when we bought the property. That's what it looked like.
Wow.
And I think you got some pictures here. You can see.
Oh, yeah.
This is the third floor right here.
Oh, okay.
What's funny is this right about there is where the earthen wall room is present day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And as a matter of fact, the picture right there, this photograph,
yeah,
that's the earthen wall room. That's what the earthen wall room looked like before it was enclosed.
Okay. That is so cool. Once you finish talking about this guy's experience, I do have a question for you, just because I've never lived in California and your home is so beautiful, and it also looks a little like, because it's on that, like, what's the word I'm looking for, Laura? It's like the top floor is on street level. It's not
one of those what they used to call matchstick homes, which were basically cantilevered, and then they would have, this would be the hillside, and then there would be this empty space, and then they'd have these steel posts underneath it.
It looks like it might be, though. Yeah.
Well, what it is actually that it's built on the concrete steps going down the entire hill, and basically the house sits on each floor. So here's the hillside here. You then have each floor going successively. If you notice my hand, it gets the distance.
Right.
You go this way, each floor gets narrower and narrower.
Okay.
But still, the bottom floor is probably 1,000 square feet.
I cannot wait to see this house. Laura and I were just talking. We were like, we've got to see this house.
You guys get your asses out. You do a live show from here. We do a barbecue, and we do the whole 9 yards.
See, I told you.
Shut up. No one asked you. So
yeah. Okay, so the construction worker. So he said about 6 months ago he was doing the tile.
Shush. Thank you. Obnoxious toy.
That's the best.
So he says it's like so he hears voices and footsteps coming from the top floor. So he goes upstairs and he looks, and he goes looking up and down the driveway, and he says there's no one here. And I said, I've been at the house during the weekdays at 7 o'clock in the summer, and the place is dead empty as well because no one's up here. It's all light.
Sure.
And he says, yeah. He goes, it was strange. So he goes, I thought it was you and your father come to check up and see what's going on in the house. I said, it wasn't me. So he goes back downstairs and he starts working and finishing packing his, doing some stuff down there. And again, he hears voices and footsteps. And he runs upstairs, this time with a hammer. And he's like going, KNS. Top floor, nothing there. Second floor, nothing there. Decides, that's it. I'm packing my bags. Now, you got to remember, the setup of the house is you've got the top floor. You've got a open area that goes down this 8 foot by 8 foot, 40 foot stairwell that goes all the way down to the bottom. So it's an open staircase type of thing. So there's a spiral staircase that goes to the second floor, then goes to the third floor. And it's an open landing at the bottom. That's 11 feet tall. The opening is 8 feet wide, and it goes into that area. That's that 8 foot by 8 foot cavern, I call it, stairwell. Right. It's all open. So he's in the other room, and he's now putting his tools into his toolbox, and he says he hears footsteps coming down the staircase. Okay. And he described it as, since we didn't have any carpet, it was just these, 2 by 12 inch wide wood planks
Right.
that were in the staircase frame,
Sure.
the skeleton going down. And he's describing it as like leather-soled shoes hitting the treads. And they're getting louder and louder as he hears them coming down the staircase. And the sounds are literally echoing down through this cavern, the stairwell,
Right.
and into the opening into the room. And he's right in the room next to it. And he says it got so loud, it sounded just like they were just getting closer and closer. And they got to the landing, it stopped. So he rushes out of the gosh darn door from the other room and he looks. He's 12 feet from the landing. Because there's nothing there. Not a goddamn thing. He goes, and then it happens. He says all of a sudden he feels this ice cold chill. And he described it as like a 2-inch wide band of ice running across the back of his neck. And he says his body stood up erect, and he says all the hairs on his body stood straight up, just got really like standing straight up on end.
Sure.
He says, dos míos, ya me boy. Translate from Spanish, it means, oh my God, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
At which point he ran up the stairs and took off and didn't come back for 6 weeks.
That's right. That's what this.
And I said to him, wait a second. Is that when you told the other guys that you were in El Salvador taking care of your sick mother? And he goes, yep. I said, I remember that because you were going to put in the tiles, and you'd put in the tiles for the kitchen, for the upstairs bathroom, for the 2 second floor bathrooms, and for the 3rd floor bathroom. But you didn't get to do the master bathroom. And I said, I remember that. Because I asked the guys when you're coming back every week, and by the 3rd week when they said they didn't, you were coming back the next week, I said, screw this, I'll do it myself. And I took the initiative, which I never did, to put the tiles in the master bathroom. And he said to me, he goes, yeah, the master bathroom. He goes, yeah. He goes, the room where the tiles look a little taller. And I said, yeah, a little taller, a little spaced gapped. And he says, yeah. He goes, I realized after I put them in, he goes, those are natural stone. And because they're natural stone, they have an intricate pattern that you're supposed to basically, he said, take the tiles out and lay them out in a pattern and decide where the veins are in the tile so that you can make them go, because they're cut in a way that you can make a pattern so that you can have this beautiful. And I said, really? I said, so that's why I've got a line going like this and a line going like this. They don't match. He goes, yeah. He goes, you didn't do it. I said, yeah. I said, no, because I sat there and I watched him take the grout. And I've been on a construction site since I was a kid. So watching guys put in tile, to me, was like, oh, I can do that. I see them take the scoop of the grout, they slap it on the thing, they do like this and put it down.
Right.
Oh, it works great for you. If you've been doing it for 20 years, it's all that. When you're doing it for the first fucking time, you take 10 ounces, slap it on there, and then you got this on the bottom of the tile, you got a thing like this. And then on the edges, there's no goddamn grout. And it's sitting up, and you're saying, I'm going to push this down. It's like, you can push all you want. It is not going to spread across evenly. And it's not going to make the adhesion across the entire tile. Because what you're not watching is, he's taking the grout thing, and he's basically making sure every inch of that gosh darn piece of tile, all 4 corners, have got grout on them. Not the center, and you just go, excuse me, because it doesn't work like that. And I said, yeah. And to this day, it looks like Mickey Mouse did it. And I say to myself, you don't believe my story? Come into the master bathroom and look at the frickin' tile. And you tell me you think that the crown jewel of a home is the master bathroom. You think my story is some FOS that I go sabotage my home and submarine its value by doing the master bathroom tile like this is some kind of a joke? Really, seriously, I kid you not. It's like, wow, this is nutsville. But
that sounds like something I would have done. Like, how hard can it be?
Exactly. I'm like, hey, I can do that. I watched him do that. I can do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No, yeah. I found the house that I have now is a new build home. And so we were living in Phoenix as the house was being built. And so the builder was sending us photographs of the every stage of the building. So I've been very familiar with it, but living in a new build home and maintaining a home when all you've had is apartments your whole entire life, even though, you know, my friends own their own homes and I've been to their house plenty of times and I've helped them with stuff. And, you know, how hard could it be is something I find myself saying all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly proven just how hard it can be.
It's a lot. Look, 20 years here, and I have stuff that's happening here at the house that's making me cringe because I'm like, oh my God, this is the shit my dad told me about as a kid.
Right.
You know, you get an older house, you're going to have to do this, and that. And I'm going, oh no. Oh dear, no.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
it is eye-opening to say the least.
For sure. So it started essentially, the haunting started essentially before you even broke ground, when you buried your pet, and then the construction guys were, because it's kind of, and you know this, within the paranormal community, it's sort of known that anytime you do any type of construction, renovation project, anything to a location, it does tend to kick up the spirits, for lack of a better phrase. So it doesn't strike me as odd in the least that once you started construction on your home, the paranormal activity really, really amped up. I think one of the most famous stories from your home is you were hosting a dinner party, I believe, when you first moved in. Yeah, you're like, I don't know. Let's see, what have you
I
heard?
host lots of dinner parties.
It was one of the first ones.
Yes, I've hosted dinner parties.
When I don't know if it was a friend of yours or your girlfriend was in the kitchen and saw somebody walk by the outside window, but the problem
that was during the filming of my movie. Thank
was
you.
it?
It's like dinner party. It's like dinner party. Yeah, which one?
Dinner party 432.
My line producer went into the kitchen, and this is during the filming of the movie House at the End of the Drive. I wish I had a postcard I could reference this, son of a bitch. Don't do I, son of a bitch? Is that one? Is it? Yes, it is. Good man. Thank you, Sharon. Good woman. There.
Yes.
This is the movie House at the End of the Drive.
House at the End of the Drive.
Right. And what it was is we were filming. She went into the kitchen to get something to eat. She turned her head to the right and she looked out the window that is in the kitchen. It's probably about 24 by 24 inch sliding glass window, little slider. And she remarked that, she says, as I'm turning my head to the right, I catch the glimpse of a man walking across, straight across the window in the frame. And as I'm turning to my right, he's turning to his right, and our eyes meet as he crosses the frame.
Okay.
Straight across. And she says, it was odd because she says, wait a second. She thought to herself, she said to me, because David doesn't live on a flat piece of land. Where the hell is that window in relation to the side of the house? So she runs outside. She goes out the door. She runs to the side of the house. She looks, and I wish I had a goddamn picture of it. She looks, and there's the window, and the staircase going down below the window. The distance between the staircase and the window is like 18 feet.
Yeah. There's no way somebody could have been walking.
There's no way. And he's not walking like down. Even if he was, you couldn't see him on the stairs from the window.
Yeah. No, because the way the stairs go are kind of off to the side.
The stairs go like this. The window's here. Because the window's inside the property. The stairs are already here. Yeah, so it's an 18 foot from the windows to the staircase is 18 foot below it. So she goes and she tells me, and I said, wait a second, describe him. She goes, he has brown hair. It's parted on the side. It's straight. And this and that. And I'm going. And I showed her a picture of Jay Sebring, and she goes, that's who I saw.
Yeah.
And I said, holy shit.
Laura, I think you're muted.
Oh, I was. Sorry, there was like kids being loud outside. I forgot I muted myself so you guys could hear them playing outside.
I'm surprised my dogs haven't started barking, actually.
Yeah, where I live, like, there's like a little... It's not a cul-de-sac, but it's like a turn, so there's like a lot of room in the streets wider right here. So a lot of the kids will be, outside playing and around here and, on their scooters or whatever. to the
Yeah.
right in front of my house, so sometimes they're a little bit loud. They're having too much fun.
Right?
Be like a grumpy old man. Get out of here.
So Laura, do you have any questions for him so far as we're sort of easing you into his story?
No, I think it's so interesting, and what I've read, so I'm a little bit, I'm familiar too with a little bit of it, that you really think it's Jay that hangs out around the most. Is that right?
As far as that, I don't even go that far to say that. I can only say this: Jay is the only spirit I'd actually seen as an apparition.
Oh, okay.
Really?
That you've seen.
Okay.
All right.
So I think, as far as hearing them or seeing them or such, it's hard to say really who's who. I mean, again, there have been other people that have seen the apparition of Abigail. This little girl that was here a number of years ago saw the apparition of Abigail. A friend of mine's 18 years ago in 2004, upon her first visit, saw the apparition of Sharon Tate. She thought it was my girlfriend.
Hang on a second.
That wanted to say something.
Did you? Yeah. Well, Laura, did you just see what happened on his screen? It got
weird.
dark. It like a shadow cross. Like the light in your room got dark. It went like this
Physically,
way.
it did not. I mean, physically, between you and me, I know that the lights didn't dim and this light didn't dim. So if you saw something pass, did I just say that just now?
I did too.
Yeah.
That I saw. I saw like a faint shadow just pop in. And
Right there again. It did it again.
Yeah, and you're not having any like weird connectivity issues or drag or anything. So
No, he's perfectly
something
crystal
is-
clear. His sound is.
something's fucking with it.
Something is.
Yeah.
I just saw darkness just appear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spirits, are you here? Do it again.
Yep.
It just got dark
There it
again.
goes.
I saw.
Look at
that.
it's still doing it. Hi guys.
Hey guys.
Spirits, who's here with us?
Right.
Now I'm having to pay attention to my screen because
Right now we're all just staring. There, look, there it is again.
That's not happening physically here. The lights are not dimming at all.
That's why I
You
was
can see
like,
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I had to stop you. I was like,
Like an asshole.
what is
Guys,
because we're-
that was pretty cool. If that's you guys doing the
That's-
spirits?
It's not happening to Laura or I. It's just on his.
On his screen. I wonder if it's Jay now that we started talking about Jay.
Right?
And everybody wants to come out and say hi.
So you pissed off I need a haircut?
He's like, listen, buddy. Oh,
It's like, you're
Whoa!
really offending me,
did
right?
you see that?
Crazy.
And nothing is happening on your end. Like your lights aren't flickering or anything.
No. Just did it
so
again.
crazy.
It did.
Uh-huh.
And the blinds aren't moving in the
did it again.
background. The blinds aren't moving in the background. There's nothing.
There's no
Hold on one second.
explanation
I want to
for
do
it.
something here. Reconnect this. I have to turn my CCTV cameras on in my office here. They're not turned on right now. I turned them off. But after all is said and done, I want to turn them on because to me, I should really review. Too bad I didn't. I'd like to review the footage.
Yeah.
To see what I thought because there might be footage that, how should I say, there might be interactivity that I'm missing right now that we could capture
Yeah.
during the show. Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy.
That's crazy nuts.
That's so interesting.
Right? I couldn't help but like, it almost looked like something flew over it, like a shadow flew over his head and blocked the light out.
That's exactly it. Looks like there's something interfering with your like light source, you know?
Wow.
Like dimming it and
Spirits.
then moving
Say hello.
moving through it.
Okay, now he's frozen.
No.
Oh,
That should probably solve that problem. That was
Right.
because of the CCTV camera system.
oh, okay.
It takes a little
okay.
bit more juice from the computer, but that
Sure.
was nuts.
That was crazy.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Wow, that's
All right.
Huh. Okay, what were we talking about? We were talking about Jay.
People that have seen the full apparitions of people. So somebody
Yes.
who's saying somebody saw
Right,
Abigail.
they've seen the apparition. So they saw Sebring's. I was the only one that saw Jay Sebring's apparition.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, Alma Carey's story was great. She came here in 2004. I think it was August the 9th. So it was the 35th anniversary. I brought Rob Wardowski, who's a paranormal investigator and an author who came to the house. He didn't tell Alma anything about me, the house, or my story. Rob and I were outside, and Alma was sitting at the dining room table, and Rob and I came in, and she goes, "Oh, I just saw your girlfriend." And I said, "What?" And I said, "Can you describe her?" Instead of me asking, instead of me telling her what is the story, I said, "Let me be smart and ask her what she saw first."
Right.
So she says, "Well, I saw this woman come from the bar, from the den. She walked around the bar. She turned ahead and she looked at me. She smiled, and then she walked 10 feet and then started walking down the staircase." And I said, "What was she wearing?" And she described her as wearing a white sundress with long blondish brown hair that went down to, she goes, collected at the middle of her neck. It looked like, and it was probably longer than that. And I'm like, and she goes, I said, describe, what else can you, she had a beautiful smile. She was late 20s, early 30s, she said she had like a mini skirt type of, it was a cutoff mini skirt type of a white dress. And she said she had shapely legs and they were tanned. And I was like, and there wasn't any nylons or anything. And I'm like going, I said, well, first my girlfriend I said, how tall? She goes like 5'6" or so. And I'm going, and she acted like she owned the place, like she belonged here.
Very comfortable there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, as a matter of fact, just looked and saw me, smiled, and walked down the stairs. I'm going, my girlfriend is 5'11", has chestnut brown hair, does not believe in ghosts, and she has no interest in being here. That's why she's not here tonight. And then I said, Rob, I think Alma saw something, and said, we better. So we went through the house. All the doors were locked on the inside. There was no sign of this woman.
Wow.
And I showed Alma later on a picture. She goes, that's her. I said, that's Sharon fucking Tate.
Wow.
Wow. Now, she knew who Sharon Tate was, right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
but she didn't know when we brought her up here. We didn't tell her anything about where she was going. We didn't say we're going down the street. I said, keep her in the dark.
Yeah.
I said, keep her in the dark as far as where she's going. I don't want her to know so she doesn't have a drop on. Since she's psychic, let her pick up what she's picking up. Yeah. There's no point in telling her anything. Then it's like, oh, she can extrapolate wherever she can from doing research. I said, I don't want that to be the case.
To taint her.
You want to prove something, you give somebody a test. I don't believe in such a thing as an open book test.
Right.
And for a psychic, an open book test is giving them the drop on where they're going.
Wow.
No,
that's very true. So now, and Laura and I were kind of talking about this a little bit this weekend, that your house, and it's not just your house, but it's that entire area of Benedict Canyon, is a bit of a geographic anomaly.
Yeah, well, Barry Taft said that there's a geomagnetic anomaly that exists in the area here, is what he said. And
right, yeah.
It extends out 1,000 yards or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is that I've had crazy stuff happen here, and I've talked to other people in the area, not in my neighborhood, but in the area, that have told me they've had strange stuff happening at their house, directly connected to the paranormal that has nothing to do with Sharon Tate, but connected to the people that were living at the place where they were remodeling.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh. So I think I had read something, and I think when you and I talked a couple of years ago, that there's high EMF levels in that area. Is that correct? And
in the house, we've recorded upwards of 5,000 milligauss positive to 5,000 milligauss negative in the house.
Wow.
And when Barry Taft was here in 2004, he brought a geomagnetic DC EMF geomagnetometer, which registers only DC EMF levels, which are direct current, which are like batteries static electricity, lightning,
Oh, okay.
that thing. So AC, which is called alternating current, is what runs through the lights in your house, through the city streets, etc., etc. That's called alternating current.
Okay.
Direct current is just going from the battery to the power to the item it's basically using the energy.
Okay.
It's direct. Alternating current basically sends beeps of energy through, or pulses, sorry, of energy through the transmission line, where the other way it's just direct.
Okay.
It's direct. That's why. And what Barry said was that according to his digital geomagnetometer, that the meters were spiking to 2,000 milligauss positive to 2,000 milligauss negative. And at the time, he says, unfortunately, our meters are limited by the range at which they can receive information, meaning they can only register up to 2,000 milligauss.
Okay.
Positive or negative.
Wow.
He says
So you're hitting both ends.
But nowadays, on your smartphone, you have the technology of getting a EMF meter app on your phone.
Right.
Where we've registered on those 6,000 milligauss positive to 6,000 milligauss negative.
That's interesting.
Just I saw that light just dim again.
It has been dimming the whole time you've been talking.
It just goes on and off.
It's really bright, like
go.
where it's bright right now, and now it's dimming again.
Not for me physically. I don't see that like of a brownout scenario in front of me. I mean, I'm looking at the lights here. I'm looking at the lights above me. They haven't changed one bit.
Yeah, and I keep looking at your blinds. There's no movements, because I know I'm sure that, like, the sun must be, it's obviously going down, but there's nothing there's no backlight that's changing weird. It's very
it has
interesting.
to be going down and up. You know what I mean? For that.
Right, yes.
I'll open up the blinds behind me.
It's really interesting. Ooh, yeah, there is a reflection. And if I see something walk behind you, I'm going to be like,
Hope you walk behind me would be outside to the neighbor's house that's on the side of the hill in between us.
Okay.
The reflection would probably be in front of us on the screen.
Okay.
On the monitor, 'cause I have a 50-inch monitor that I'm looking at you guys on.
This is wild.
That's
well,
crazy.
I do that because, like I said, if you want to get an idea, I've got 30 cameras, 5 outside and 25 inside. So when you want to go reviewing footage, the last thing you want to do is, like, in a 19-inch monitor, I'm looking at a 1-inch thing thinking, what can I see there?
Yeah.
No, you need a big monitor to see the whole, the visual of what your video is of. That way, when, for instance, last night, we were watching footage.
It just did it again.
Do you guys mind? You trying to mess with my goddamn time on camera? Don't be a bitch about it and deal with it. I'm on the camera. You're not. You want to appear manifest right over my shoulder here, but stop messing with the lights. It's not polite. It makes me look bad, okay? Look bad.
Wave in the window. We'll see you. It's okay.
All right.
Just manifest over this shoulder right here. There's a nice spot for that to happen.
Yeah. Wait, Laura, lean back. Like you just did. All right, back again. Forward. Weird. Your light kind of went weird too.
I noticed.
Oh, it's probably just because I'm moving, but
Yeah.
No, it was a flash of darkness.
It was.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Great. Now they're coming over here.
That's interesting.
Not for you, God Almighty.
That's crazy.
So, what question did you have? You had some questions for him too, Lo, didn't you, Laura?
I sure did. So what do you think is the most, like, shocking thing that has happened or you've captured in the house?
Zach Baggins
personal
running out of my
experience.
house was shocking.
What made him run out of your house?
The spirits didn't like him.
Really?
I don't think it was.
I'm not
I don't
surprised.
know. I see this in a way that'll kind of pierce a lot of people's vision of him.
Sure.
But in the totality of the time that he's occupied in the space on TV, all I've ever heard from him is a disrespectful, disingenuous hack.
Yeah.
Calling spirits out. I'm challenging the spirits. Go piss in the wind. You want to get a challenge. there's a challenge. So you try not to get wet while you piss in the wind. But the idea that you're crossing the parameters of decency and respectability in a hope to garner attention from the spirits on the other side by insulting them and berating them and trying to challenge them and being big macho Bilbo Baggins' nephew doesn't really pan out. And spirits are like going, if we get our chance to kick you upside the head, you're going to pay dearly for every stinking, insulting piece of trash propagated on TV and how you treated us and others that have done nothing to you, but that you've decided to parade around as your tools, as your toy, as your acumen of the ability to produce a spirit and to deal with demons and stuff. It was just becoming so overdone and so hackneyed and so retorted. Not retarded, but it was just like such a retort against spirits. Like, they're all demons. I was like, you claim every gosh darn spirit's a demon, and then you crap on the people who allow you to go in their homes to do your show, like Bloody Mary in New Orleans, like the guy up in Washington, in Seattle, who had his problems, and you later on, after they were on your show, you changed your story, you berated them, and you told the people their houses weren't haunted, you maligned them. You've done to the living is what you do to the dead. Your disrespect has no boundaries. And when he came here and he spent, they started their show at 9 o'clock. They were going to go from 9 to 3 in the morning for a 6-hour lockdown.
Okay.
They started running the cameras at 9 o'clock. I went to the top of the stairs and basically was looking around thinking to myself, this is going to be hell. They were trying to roll the cameras, and all of a sudden everything kaput. Everything died. And I said, what's wrong? He goes, all the batteries in the cameras have just failed. I said, all the batteries? Not one. You got 3 cameramen here and the guy outside. All 4 batteries are dead. And I said, so they went into the van to grab a backup.
Sure.
All dead.
Oh, shit.
They said, we have to reschedule. We needed an hour to charge the batteries up and the backup batteries. So they did that. So at 10 o'clock, they started to do the show. And after seeing this, I said, there's going to be hell to pay. And I said, I'm scared to death. I'm hearing the drum roll before the execution. Oh God, I've got to do something. So I walk in the house, and right before they asked me to leave, I said, I got to do something. So I walk back in the house, I march into the top of the staircase, and I'm looking down the stairwell, and I said, spirits, I know you are fucking pissed off. I know you are really upset. I know you want to shit and tear them limb from limb, and you want to make them pay for what they've done, because you got to remember, they were here. When I say they, the production company comes in, I think it was a Thursday. So they came in on Monday to shoot. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, wow.
Now this is a breakdown of how it goes. The first day was interviews with me and walking through the house and getting my story.
Okay.
Second day was interviews with other people and going through their stories and doing. In their case, they had to do some footage that was shot off location here. I mean, they didn't shoot it here. They shot it with Barry Taff at a hotel. They shot it with Dre Fordham somewhere else. That the woman with her story. Then the third day was B-roll and reenactments of stuff.
Okay, all right, makes sense.
All right, makes sense.
The thing of the girl coming down the street covered in blood, wearing the nightgown. They shot that on Wednesday night, the night before. And they shot all this fog machine stuff. So I loaned them one of my fog machines because they didn't have one. And when they were shooting the sequence of that girl pregnant walking up the street clutching the pregnancies, the Sharon Tate visage or apparition from the Dre Fordham story, I started snapping pictures. And in one of the pictures, there's this ball of light pouring out of this girl's stomach. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I'm looking through all the other pictures, nothing like that. And she's basically wearing a nightgown, a white polyester nightgown. There are no lights behind her because that would be flooding the camera, and all you see is a silhouette.
Right.
So she's got lights on. She has nothing on her that's reflective. So this one picture, I got chills down my spine. I was like, oh shit. And I heard the spirit say, we're going to make them pay. Because of this whole reenactment of the Sharon Tate clutching her baby covered in blood, supposedly.
It's not great. Yeah, I don't love it.
Tacky as shit.
It's so tacky.
I said, don't do that. I don't believe that story is real. I think it's a fraud. I think it's a phony. I think you're really tweaking the spirits in the nose and asking for hell.
Yeah.
So the following night, they did the actual lockdown. So after what I said to them, I said, I went to the top of the stairs. I said to the spirits, I was thinking that you've got every right to kick their asses and to kill them. But I said, don't. I said, do not harm them. Don't do anything permanent. I said, it really would not look good for me.
Honestly, it's the truth, though.
I said, no, good for you. I said, what are you going to gain? But I said, don't fucking mess with them. I said, I know you want to kill them, but don't fuck them up.
Yeah.
So I said, I really appreciate it. I said, I love you all. I said, just don't do it, please. Heed my warning, whatever that means. So as I walk out the front door, the executive producer runs up to me and goes, what the hell was that? I said, what was what? Like I was performing some ritualistic act or performance art for them. And I'm going, you mean what I just said at the top of the stairs? I said, I'm praying, I'm pleading with the spirits so that they don't kick your asses.
Not to harm you guys.
And hurt you and your team. I said, that's what the hell that was. I said, it wasn't any goddamn act. So he goes, I want you to go back and do that again, but I want the PG version. And I said, well, he goes, yeah, we want a camera on you and we want to shoot that and do that. We'll do it as a reenact, we'll do it as you. I said, fine. I signed the contract. I know the deal. I won't sit there and say no.
Whatever gets you out of my house faster.
That I thought, something fine. I said it was done in honesty and with integrity and with sincerity. It wasn't done as some kind of like, oh, look at me. I need your attention.
Sure.
It was like, don't kill them. I know you want to beat the crap out of them and you want to tear them limb from limb, but don't.
Yeah.
So I did it, and that's what you see on the show in the episode.
So how long had you been living there before Ghost Adventures filmed at your house?
Let me see. 2013. I think it was 2013. 13. Sure, 14. I want to say 2012 or 2013. So I'd lived here for, and the thing is the first show I was on was My Ghost Show, which is in 2006. Then we did Ghost Hunters. Then I did Haunted History, Paranormal Witness.
Loved Paranormal Witness. I love that show.
The one with the gosh on house, where they cut to the house, David's house is on a flat paddleland and it's a 3-story up. Yeah, I remember that. And the guy, everybody looks like everybody else. God, everybody in the show. Alma looks like Alma. Jeff looks like Jeff. Cashmere looks like Cashmere. I don't look anything like that.
I remember you telling me that. The guy that portrayed you were like, that's not me.
I have a head of hair. I know this was Stephen balding headline. I look like a George Costanza's brother.
He didn't like that.
No, I didn't. And I stayed under it. I love the show. It's like, at my house, doesn't go 3 stories up. It goes 3 stories. And the worst part is I told the producers when they were here shooting, I said, look, why don't you use my house? I said, I'll be happy to let you use my house for next to nothing instead of we shoot in Canada. We do our locations. I said, where are you going to get a house that looks like this fucking house? Come on.
In Canada, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Not even anywhere. Forget in Canada. There's not many houses that are on a hillside that are like this type of design that look like this house.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. Furthermore, I said, I'll play myself in the fucking thing if you like it. I said, you're not going to get something that looks like, as though we'll get Tom Cruise. And I said, oh, joy. You guys have a sense of humor.
I remember you telling me that he really just did not like the guy that portrayed him in Paranormal Witness.
He didn't look anything like me.
He didn't. I'm going to have to find...
The guy that plays the lead, there's where you went off the fucking rails and said, let's get somebody who looks nothing like David.
Nothing like him. Yeah.
That's super fun.
So then, So then, okay, you had asked the spirits not to harm Zach Bagans and his crew. What did they end up doing?
So, let's see. Halfway through the thing, like an hour and a half into it, Jay says to me, he goes, David, listen to this. So he gives me the headphones, and I'm like listening, and I hear this sound of footsteps, and I hear crunch, 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 crunch. I said, where's this microphone? He goes, that's the boom mic that's at the bottom of the staircase. And I started laughing. I said, I guess I inadvertently made a ghost trap. And Jay goes, what do you mean? He said, well, the landing at the bottom of the third floor at the landing is carpet. I said, when we tore out the original carpet, my cats had basically gone to town on the carpeting and made it a pee spot. And unfortunately, I found out when we tore up the carpet that it was there. And the carpet guy said, look, the only thing you can do to stop this is to put a vapor barrier between the foam padding and the backing of the carpet.
Okay.
And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, the foam padding acts like a sponge, and it is sponge. So when the cats pee on it, the carpet, it goes through the backing, goes into the sponge. So even if you use a rug doctor, all you're going to extrapolate is the carpet, is the pee in the backing of the carpet.
Right.
That is fitted into the foam padding is stuck.
Done.
It's trapped. It'll never come out. And it keeps on having the cats come and pinging over that same spot.
Okay.
So I said, what do you do? He goes, you got to get some like 3 millimeter thick plastic and put it down between the backing of the carpet and the padding. So there's the vapor barrier. So when you extract the back, when you use the rug doctor, all of the pee will be on the plastic and it'll come out. It won't get into the foam. And I was like, okay.
Wow. All right.
When you put it down and you have the backing of the carpet on top of it, in between the foam, you walk on it, you hear the sound of the crunching of the plastic on the backing of the carpet meeting. So I said, who's in the house? He goes, no one's in the house. I said, that's not possible. He goes, well, listen. And you can hear the sounds of footsteps going from the landing into the theater room through the door.
Wow.
And it's
and
that
the door,
sound.
you can hear the door close and stuff too?
I said, that's what we got, Jay. If no one's in the house and you hearing that sound, that's what that is. And he was like, strange but true. And then Zach was, like I said, going through the house, and I think in the order of things that are taking place, Nick, Zach goes down and they hear the voices. So then they all come back up and they send Nick down.
Okay.
And Nick goes down and he's having his meltdown. And I'm watching Zach, Aaron, and Jay sitting in the back of the van watching the monitor cracking up. And I said, what are you guys doing? I said, he's having a problem down there. Whether or not it's practical and actually happening and it can't be seen on camera, or it's occurring in his mind only, makes no difference.
Right.
Because for all intents and purposes, in his mind, it's practical and it's happening.
Right.
And whatever the influence and the source is secondary to the fact that he's having an issue and you guys need to go down there and get his ass out. And they kept laughing and I just kept watching this. And this is, what you don't see is it's edited on television.
Sure, yeah.
This is going to be 2 minutes and I'm going. And I finally got to the point where I'm hearing Nick go screaming, carrying on. And I said, if you assholes don't go down there and get his ass right this second.
Yeah.
I said, I will tear up the fucking contract that I signed with you, and I will go in there because no son of a bitch shit is going to happen maliciously on my watch where somebody's having a meltdown, whether or not it's him thinking it or it's happening.
It's actually happening.
I'm not going to let that happen because that's willful, malicious behavior. So I said, that's it. I said, I'm giving you guys the next 10 seconds. And basically, finally, they got around to going. He goes, all right, let's go do it. Let's go get Nick. Go down there, and they brought Nick up, and Nick then lifts his shirt up, and he's got this red mark on his stomach.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, wow, you guys really pissed him off. They didn't scratch him, and it's just like a rub. It looks like just a red rub, like somebody rubbed you.
Sure.
Or took poison ivy, and you had an allergic reaction. But in a way that you saw a line of it. It was a small, line, maybe 3 inches long, but it it was sensitive to the touch, and he felt it goes, ooh, it burns. Like somebody just like basically went like rubbed their finger against your skin and irritated it enough where it hurt.
Right.
Like a rub burn, like your older brother used to give you.
Exactly.
Kind of like that, yeah.
And it was just a small little, enough that then Zach went down and had his thing where he's hearing the voices, and then he comes back upstairs, and there's no cameras there, and I'm sitting on the in front of the house, and I hear the front door, I hear footsteps, I hear the door open up, I turn, I see Zach take 2 steps off the stairs going in, the 2 stairs leading into the entryway of the house, and falls down the pavement in front of the house. And I go, what the fuck? I said, Zach, you okay? And I'm the first one up to him, and he's like going, I don't know. He goes, my stomach. Oh, my God, my head. Oh, my head. And he's like, his eyes are like zipping out and going. And then the executive producer and the producer runs up to him, Zach, you okay? And there's no cameras on him.
Right.
And he's
right,
like,
so he's not faking it for the show or anything.
Oh, this isn't some bullshit for the show. This was no act. This was he acting for. He ain't acting for my benefit.
Right, exactly.
He was sitting there just like going, my head is just, oh my God, I don't know. Oh God. And then they went back in the house, and like a half an hour later, at 1 o'clock, they come marching up and marching out the front door, and that was it. And I said, guys, you have another 3 hours left. It's 1 o'clock. We got to 4 in the morning. And I'll never forget him saying, we got enough evidence. Yeah, we got plenty of evidence. We got more than enough evidence. We're done. We're leaving. Goodbye.
Wow.
It was the last I saw them. And then the following day on Saturday, because I left Friday morning at like 5 in the morning, I called up Jeff Belanger, the executive producer, and I said, so how are the boys doing? And he goes, they're sick in bed at the hotel. I said, who? He goes, Aaron, Jay, I think it was Aaron, Nick, and Jay, and Zach were all bedridden.
Wow.
And I don't even know if Jay was so much so, but this went on for like 3 days. So they were stuck in their hotel room, bedridden. And I said to him, I said, I told you, I warned you about doing that reenactment. I said, it was the worst thing you could have done. You totally disparaged the spirits. I said, you did a terrible thing in that. And I think that, that kind of stuff shouldn't be looked upon lightly and taken lightly. I said, you didn't listen. I said, you really, and there was no kind of response to it. What is he going to say?
Right.
And that was it.
That is crazy. Is there something moving in front of you? So, off to, let's see, I guess your left.
Right.
Yeah, so over your left in the window, there, what is that, what is behind you in the window? Like, what does that window overlook?
You can see his reflection a little bit in there.
You can see, yeah, I can see his reflection.
All right.
But, but no, over his shoulder, I saw something move. Could something be moving is it trees that are out that window?
Well, there's a tree there. I mean, go on here.
I think it's a tree.
But I saw it move like in the room. It was reflected in the glass. Oh, I see.
Shut up.
Okay.
Stop it now.
Yeah, it must be the tree.
There's only a slight reflection. Well, it's like a reflection over here.
Yeah, it was over your left shoulder, but it was a reflection in the window, so it would have occurred in front of your desk in the room with you. It was reflected in the window.
We'll have to pull it and see what.
Yeah. Well, now that the window's open, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been looking at it like just to see, and I just happened to see something move over his shoulder, and I'm like, can somebody be out there? Is the wind blowing? But it looks like it was reflected in the glass, so it's coming from behind his computer.
Right.
Like in front of it.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, which would be like in front of you.
Which would be like in front of him.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Monitor's right in front of the camera. The camera's literally 3 inches in front of the monitor.
Yeah, so it was something that's like over high up, reflected in the glass of the window. We'll have to take another look at it.
Interesting.
And have him send it to him.
What kind of stuff happens there, most often, would you say? Is it stuff like this that they're kind of playing with you, kind of messing around, or...
Well, again, you guys are seeing it. I'm not privy to anything that you're expressing to me. It's not like I'm seeing stuff like going...
No.
It's...
No, I mean...
But just on a day-to-day basis, what is some, like...
What do you or the people that come there experience the most, do you think? Like, is it, like, kind of weird stuff with lights? Are they touching people? Or just kind of voices?
Yeah, that happens. The third level, last night we were down there and we were talking, and all of a sudden the lights started acting up, and I'm going... And I said, that's enough. Could you guys stop it? So it stops like 2 seconds, and then it starts going up. I said, for more than 2 seconds. I said, I got the bit. I said, you're taking me literally, aren't you? But here's the thing: is for the most part, time out. Reggie, is that you? Reggie, come here. Don't go going upstairs and taking a leak on the floor. Get over here. Come here. I know it's you because your sister sounded goddamn asleep because she sleeps during the day. Come here, Reggie. This is my dog, Reggie. Come over here.
Okay.
Come here. Come here. Come over here. Come on. Good boy. All right, get up here. Say hi. Come here. Get up. That's a boy. Say hi.
Oh, hi, Reggie.
I
can see you.
Hi.
Oh, hi, baby.
Reggie.
Hi.
Don't look at me. Look at the camera. There's Reggie.
Aw, cutie patootie.
Mm-hmm. David is on Instagram, and he does a lot of videos taking Reggie and his dogs out for a walk. So I've seen Reggie before.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Right, you're staying here, Reggie.
We're animal lovers here, so
we are. Yes,
we're suckers.
Lie down. Just right here.
We are suckers.
Good boy. That's my boy. So,
We're gonna be like, oh, you have pets? Put them on camera too.
Right.
What did I miss? Shit. I heard voices. I didn't know what those... I hear birds now.
Okay, good. I was like, what is that sound? Oh, birds. All right. We're good.
Not humans. Definitely birds chattering. What it is most of the people have their experiences, and I don't have those experiences. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. Meaning that, the spirits do their thing, and it's like, well, David doesn't need to know about this. This isn't going to help him feel better about things. So I don't see as much as you guys do, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. But by now...
They like you. They kind of leave you be, and then they fuck with everybody else that comes in.
Well, I mean, they fuck with me too. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like I'm not that I'm off limits, but they do it in a way where it's like, when they do it with me, it makes YouTube or it makes we save the video. The example of that would be in November when I was walking down the hallway at 1:45 and doing laundry, and I threw my hands up and just thought to myself, spirits, I got you covered. And then we hear this. And I'm like, what the f is that? And then I review the footage, and it's like, oh, it's not just that. They were talking. There was a spirit in the guest bedroom that made a sound that goes, and I'm going, the hell was that? That happened 3 seconds before the sound of the knock knock. And it's just strange stuff like that. So when they want to get my attention, they get my attention. But for the most part, for instance, last night, there were four. There was 4 of them. There were 4 people last night, and myself, and 2 people went down the staircase, and we were in the laundry room, and you can hear the sound of clank, clank as they're making their way down the staircase to the lowest level. And they said, did you hear that? And it's like, hear what? So we reviewed the footage, and you can hear somebody hitting the railing. Bang, bang.
Really?
Wow.
And, holy shit, I've never heard that before. So it's, in my case, a lot of things happen to other people that I've never experienced, and there are things that I've had experienced that are not shared with other people. And
Sure.
there are things that are usually shared, like, for instance, the faucets turning on by themselves. I think in the time that I've been here, there have been 4 reports of that occurring here. 4, yeah. Like, it looks like, feels like, no, then my hand's not straightened out. But yeah, 4 reports. Twice it's happened to me, and 2 other times it happened to 2 other individuals.
Huh.
And their responses were both, they freaked out. Me, I was like, that's cool. I said, I appreciate it. But, we're going through a freaking drought. So let's lay off the water gags for the most part, okay? No water gags.
I do have a water bill, guys. Help me out here.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Because it's the times that when you catch it, it's one thing. Think about the times you don't catch it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's an example. I just gone to Ralph's last, Monday or Tuesday? I think it was Monday. And I picked up 13 racks of baby back ribs because they're on sale for $2.88 a pound. And I've got a 6 or an 8 cubic foot upright freezer where I've stored all these racks of ribs, and I've got like 40 racks.
Wow.
And I went down to I had no space in my stand-up freezer, so I had to use the refrigerator freezer on the 3rd level in the earthen wall room. And I remember clearly putting in the 13 racks and shutting the goddamn door.
Uh-oh.
I went down there on Thursday or Friday of last week, 3 days later, for some reason, and I was being told, you got to go down there. You got to go down there. So I'm going down. I go down there and I see the freezer, the small freezer on top of the refrigerator. The door's ajar this far, and I'm like, thinking, oh my God, it's 150.
All this meat.
Yeah. Right, it's bad.
And sure enough, the bottom rack is frozen, and the ones on top of it are a little thawed, not thoroughly thawed out, but are cold. But I looked at the goddamn thermometer. It says 47 degrees. I'm going, thank you for telling me to come down there. Now, who's the asshole that opened the freaking door up and did that to me? I'm really pissed at you, son of a bitch.
So do they ever say, oh, hey, yeah, it's me, so-and-so, I did that? Do they ever?
No, but we hear voices saying stuff like last night. We heard voices talking, and it wasn't like, who was it? We couldn't tell, but it was definitely a woman's voice talking in the background. Okay. And I'm like, I heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So again, with the cameras throughout the house, we were able to immediately go in and watch it firsthand and go, wasn't any of the 4 or 5 of us, because we're all quiet in the house.
Yeah.
I think that's just so cool because you guys can find everything that happens in there. So
cool.
What's
interesting is she heard the voice we were in the laundry area on the run, the egress to the outside door, and we listened to one camera that was close to her and it was faint. We listened to the camera that's further from her, she could hear it clear, and when we listened to the camera in the dining room and upstairs, you could hear it even clearer.
Really?
Wow.
I love that.
So it's
I think that's
like a misnomer when you think it's in that room with you, and it turns out it's like, well, then how come it's louder on a floor above you?
Right, exactly.
Where there's nobody. Right.
How many hours? Now, you've lived in the house this will be your 20th year living in the house, correct?
Yeah.
How many hours would you guess you have recorded of phenomena happening in your house over the last 20 years?
Well, it's only been the past 7 that I've had the cameras installed in the house. Before that, we had people coming in 2004 and 2005 to do investigations and such.
Okay.
And God, how many hours? That's a great question.
Just a guess.
I've got footage that's never been seen before. I mean, I've got an investigation, the first investigation that was ever held here in 2004 that I put together, that had the 3 psychics come in from different locations who were brought in. They weren't communicating with one another. They weren't told where they were going. Brought one in at a time, let them go through the house, then interviewed them, then returned them to their location, brought the next one in, did the same thing.
Sure.
And then at the end of the evening, brought them back collectively to talk to them at a group roundtable discussion and hear what their collective thoughts were, and then told them where they were. That was about, it's like 3 cameras. It's probably maybe 12 hours, maybe 10 hours of footage from that. And that's just one example of one of the things that we've got that's never been seen by the public. So I'd say probably guesstimating probably about 30, 40 hours of footage total. And again, footage isn't like long.
That's
it's like
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff, though.
Little.
Yeah. Yeah.
To document.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. Like I said, the footage we shot in 2004 was shot 3 months before Ghost Hunters ever aired, which was the first paranormal reality TV show ever.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny is I was doing this stuff before these shows came out because I wanted to have, document it for my own edification, for my own purposes, to know what was going on. The idea was that footage, I'd like to use it and show it to people and say, this is old, but you've never seen it before, and no one's ever seen it before. And what's interesting is
it's still valid. Yeah.
It was like I'm feeling sharp stabbings. The back of my head, I remember one of them things, like, feels like it's being crushed in the back. I'm going,
ooh,
amazing.
Yeah.
Again, we keep them in the dark because I don't want them to know where I don't want them to paint a picture from like, oh, there's the picture, let me paint this. I want them to use their inner eye to pick up what they're picking up on, relate that to us,
right,
and then be able to say, all right, here's where you were, here's what the story was. How does that plug into? And they go, oh my God, now it all makes sense. It all makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and Laura and I talk a lot on the show about the power of suggestion. And
completely.
Yeah, so we completely understand the importance of you doing that with people that maybe aren't aware of your house or the location that they're in, or so. Yeah, it's certainly something that is. God, we mention it a bunch on
almost
the
every
show.
I think
Almost
when we start
every
discussing evidence, and especially the ones when we do our own investigations of places. When you're going into some place and the history and everything, it's very easy, I think, sometimes to read into things that may, that can play. Your mind is such a strong thing. It can really allow you to pick up on things that may or may not be there. And I think that you doing that, making things go, making it blind, just like you would a real scientific experiment, right?
Exactly.
It's so important.
That was exactly it. I want to keep it very scientific. I figured, as a skeptic, what's going to make me listen more than showing people the truth by showing it to them in a way that would convince a lot of people of the credibility factor, that I wasn't trying to give it all away up front. I wanted the audience to know that I figured, let's keep these people in the dark. Let's see what they come up with. Let's not tell them anything. Let's just see if this is real. Because what's to be gained by knowing in advance what you're going to be tested on?
Right.
Exactly. You have nothing to prove, but if you keep them in the dark and they don't know, as I like to say it when it was occurring and what I've seen in the footage, it's riveting because these people, if what I'm saying is true and they're picking up this information, it's wild.
Yeah.
Because one woman saying, because I had this woman pleading with her baby, she says, help my baby, but I can't help her baby. The baby's dead. And I'm like, oh my God. This is nuts. And I can't say a thing because it's not for me to tell them anything. It's for me to be the objective observer and just to film what I've got going on. And that's what the beauty of it was. It wasn't like I'm telling them what room to go in. I didn't tell them what happened in any of the rooms before they got there. So it's not like, well, in this room it's hot. I'm like, when you have the run of the house, we're just going to follow you. You go where you want to go, and we'll follow away.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's wonderful.
I think that's really cool.
Really
because you're not going to get a placebo effect. You know what I mean? Kind of like where people think like, this is happening. Again, I think that is so important because we talk about it all the time. As a skeptic, I mean, I want to see stuff that's real. And if there's an explanation for it, I want to look for the alternative explanation. But if there isn't one, and I have been stymied in experiences that Carrie and I have done in our investigations, I'm like, well, I can't fucking explain that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the stuff, like I said, the correlation is each one was independent of the other, and they're picking up the same things in the same spots, and you're going, that's 100%. Interesting.
That is,
they're not like, well, I went through the house, and by the way, when you go into the basement, no, I didn't want that.
None of that happened.
I remember seeing a show called Dead Famous Live, or Dead Famous, and they had the psychics going through doing the search for Jack the Ripper. And one psychic says, because I see a man with a pocket watch. And the other one follows him and goes, yes, I do too. Yes, he's very concerned with time. What the fuck? Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting. And I said, there's no gaining that storyline from people just being stupid about things.
Right.
It's like, well, I can't buy that. So I wanted to up the ante and make it seem more interesting and more credible to an audience than just.
So you haven't released what you're talking about. Are you planning to anytime or just?
Well, if I could find somebody that'd be interested in developing a 3-part or 4-part docu-series about the house for TV, yeah. Kind of like what they did with the Cecil Hotel, except I've got footage that's never been seen before. I've got stories that, could be told by the people that actually experienced them. I think that the idea for my docuseries, which I've tried to pitch to people, is like, oh, they're not going to want to hear that. It's like, yeah, I think they would. I think they'd appreciate it because the credibility factor and the fact that it's not presented like the same old song and dance that you've seen.
Yeah. Now, since we're talking about it, David, people have actually suggested that you might be exploiting the Tate murders by going on to these various paranormal shows and things like that. What do you have to say to folks that suggest that about you?
Yeah, right. Then they might as well take the people at Lizzie Borden's house.
Exactly.
The people at the Conjuring house. The people at the Queen Mary. I mean, let's be serious here. I don't have a business operation. I don't run a commercial operation here. I've rented the house out on occasion. I've done a few shows, but let's be honest here. I'm not writing books making hypothesis of QAnon status about the Sharon Tate murders and about the involvement of her father in Army Special Ops or Psych Ops or something and being involved in any of that. I don't have any connections to that. I don't have any books and lectures that I'm promoting or anything like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, claim all you want, but you better have something to back up your statements to show that there's some connection where I'm actually making some kind of a living off of that.
Right,
and
right.
What said is that the stuff that they show on the house in these shows is their opinions. They show what they wish to show. They show their slice of the story. When I've said before, that is the tippy tip of the iceberg of what's going on here.
Yeah.
The fact that spirits visit here. They're the tiniest of smallest of percents of activity that's connected to this house, meaning that I consider them in a sense in a proportionality of like a grain of sand, one grain of sand at a beach. One grain of sand is those collection of those 5 spirits, and there's millions of other spirits that have been through this house that people have told me about that have nothing to do with the murders.
Yeah.
So that's why Dr. Taft called a place the Mount Everest of haunted houses and the Disneyland for the Dead, was because when people come in the house, the spirits that are around them can manifest here much more easily. And we've seen this happen before.
Which I think is I think that is fascinating phenomenon, because I think a lot of people don't realize that there might be spirits that are attached to them, be it just whatever, like wherever they happen to have been, or it's loved ones or whatever. So I think
loved ones. I don't believe in the idea when you say that wherever they've been. You could be a million places. If in fact, let's take that statement. If in fact spirits are jumping onto people, what happened to the spirits that are at that location? Do they not? Does that location then evaporate of spirits? If every time somebody goes in there, there's a spirit. How many spirits? There's countless spirits in this location.
Are we taking attendance of the spirits?
Spirits here. I'm just grabbing one of them. It's like the old saying: if you go to Hawaii, they said, "Do not take a piece of lava home, because if you do, it's cursed." It's like, no, because if you do, and everybody takes a piece of fucking lava home, there won't be any fucking island of Hawaii.
There went Hawaii.
All the gosh darn lava. What do you think the gosh darn island's made of? It's made of lava. If everyone took a souvenir home from Calico Ghost Town, there'd be no Calico Ghost Town left.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. And the same thing for spirits. if you can't say there's an infinite amount of spirits at this location, and therefore every time somebody goes home, one spirit jumps onto that person and goes home with them. Well, if you only got 100 spirits at location, how many people can have those spirits going home with them? Till there's 100 people have been in, 100 spirits have been in the house, and then there's none left. Well, so much for
Right.
Great. The hauntings are gone.
Children takes a rational application to what they say, and I go, really? So what do? They have to hitchhike to go back home? How many days do they stay with you? Do they have to go, don't they have to go back home sometime? Aren't they homesick? You know, it's like, God, fucking yeah.
Well, and then that's also like, that leads into the different types of phenomenon that there is. So the intelligent haunts, the residual haunts. What do you have? Is it a mixture of all of it?
What you just said was a theory.
Yes.
Remember that.
Right.
Remember that residual haunts. What was the battle off the other?
Intelligent haunts.
Intelligent haunts. Then they're the spasmodic haunts, you know. They can't get anything right. They just
the ones that know that they're interacting with you, or what about the ones that are like on a loop, that maybe they're just sort of like on a tape recording and they're just kind of like walking through the same wall, or doing like replaying the same, replaying this
loop or looped.
On a loop.
If they're on a loop, they're doing this. If they're looped, they're doing this. I'm looped.
Maybe they're on a loop while they're looped. What do you have? Do you have spirits that don't interact with you at all, that are just there? Or do you have ones that are doing like what you've been doing all evening, which is talking to them?
Crochet is what I just heard.
They're doing crochet? I love it. So they're crafty. Okay. That seems like an intelligent.
You might call them crafty. I think they're just
like, we're getting shit done.
Professionals.
Right.
No, again, I don't believe in, after living here for this many years, I've kind of decided that every theory that man has created about the paranormal field is pretty much a wash and bullshit.
Okay.
Because I think that we as humans, we want to categorize every freaking thing.
To kind of try to understand it better, yeah.
Tiny little box, and we put that on the shelf, and that's where it is. That's not the way it fucking works. I don't believe. My personal belief is that a lot of that stuff is just man's ego again, trying to deal and rationalize what's going on.
Yeah.
And because it has to fit into this, I'm going, really? Just like a lot of the stories from, I believe, Jolly Old England and the Tower of London, of seeing Anne Boleyn walking around the grounds there,
the courtyard,
head under her arm. I think that's myth on top of projection,
probably,
of human beings' thoughts. But again, that's a residual haunting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I'm not saying that is what it is. I'm saying that's what they quote unquote.
That's what they've categorized that as. Yeah.
She did it. She's carrying her head. When did she ever walk around in life with her head tucked under her arm? She never did. Because once her head was cut off, she was dead. She didn't just jump up. Her body didn't jump up, grab her head, and walk around in the historical record saying, "Oh, look at me, look what you've done to me."
Yeah.
No, I don't buy that. I don't. Again, I think there's a lot of BS to that story. Oh, thousands of people know because one person said it. Everybody after that person said, "I want to see the same fucking thing. I can't let you be the only one that had that experience. I need to."
Yeah, I need to be like, yes, that happened to me too.
And then you get the power of suggestion, like what we talked about earlier. One person sees it, they see it's very foggy in London. They see some fog, they're like, oh, it's Anne Boleyn. There's her head.
Yeah,
right.
I just don't think that. I think that there's stories in history that are accountances going back to even ancient Greece about the appearance of an apparition talking to somebody.
Yeah.
But it wasn't threatening. It wasn't a ghoulish thing. It wasn't decomposing, rotting skin and stuff. I think that's more, as you say, fictionalized stuff and story-based stuff and stuff that came about from campfires, but less to do with reality.
Right.
More to do with sensationalism, dramatics, and scaring the crap out of people.
Right. Yeah.
And from my own personal experience of seeing the apparition of J. Sebring, he didn't look anyway like he did when he was alive or died the way he did. He wasn't wearing the clothes he was wearing.
Sure.
And again, going to Alma's story, if we take that as a credible statement, when she saw that apparition, she didn't even think it was she thought it was just a person in the house. It was my girlfriend. Nothing to feel like.
Right, didn't think anything of it.
Or even so much so that she didn't even think it was a ghost. She just thought it was a person in the house.
Right, yeah. Very corporeal, nothing. She didn't say it was anything translucent. Just a woman, just, hi. Okay.
Just my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I wish.
Right. Wow, your girlfriend's
She was beautiful, man.
She was stunning.
Like, she was my girlfriend, I'd be like one.
All right, well then let's take it a little bit away from the paranormal. So now, that aspect aside, given how famous that your home has become, do you have other things that have happened there? As far as like people driving by or looky-loos coming to try and take a picture, from more of a curiosity-seeking fan type standpoint, do you have that happen?
What do you think is what the spirit said? You just answered your own question.
But is it to the point where like you would want to call the police because they're maybe they're harassing you? Like people just walking up and trying to get in your house or anything like that?
People that come up here have always been respectful.
Oh, good.
And I've always been respectful in showing integrity towards them, and they're answering their questions. And, people are people. If you're afraid of something, you better have a good reason. It better be of some degree of threat. But no, I've never felt in any way, shape, or form in any jeopardy, or the people that I've met up here or crossed paths with that have come up here to go to the Tate gate to look and take pictures. And yeah, it happens almost every single day and night.
I bet it does.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
I mean, obviously, the height of that would have been during the release of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We had thousands of people coming up there every
God.
week.
I bet.
I mean, hundreds of people coming up a day. It was ridiculous. We had cars coming up and then going to the end of the driveway and turning around and coming down and then seeing cars, jams going.
Yeah.
And cars are coming down the driveway at the same time. It was nuts.
I don't doubt it. Okay.
What is your feeling on that film? Do you like it?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either. That's why
I saw it.
It's no interest.
I didn't really either.
I kept on hearing from the spirit saying it's going to be exploitive. It's going to be exploitive, and I'm thinking, and I didn't understand. Then I remembered the movie, The Hauntings, Sharon Tate coming out, which was everybody was decrying. And I said, so it's this filmmaker's take on the murders from different points of view.
Yeah.
I said that's his storyline. Whatever you want to say, it's despicable. Be my guest. It was what it was. But what I didn't like about Once Upon a Time was the fact that the end of the movie went so sideways, and it was a Hollywood and a fairy tale. Was Once Upon a Time because the giveaway was it was a fairy tale.
Yeah,
and I don't like when somebody takes historical figures, such as Inglourious Bastards. I found distasteful to a degree. Yes, I'm rooting for the Nazis to be killed, but when you're taking fictional characters and you're placing them with factual
real life historical figures,
do this and your excuses, you're trying to make good on what you would have wished. It's like, well, that's great and dandy, but let's be honest here, it's a slap in the face to those that really existed in that time period in the history. I think it's just distasteful. I didn't think that it was. I thought it was just I found it really just disingenuous. I didn't like it. Yeah, it's entertainment, but there is a certain line when you cross that line and you go that route and you go, this is, could have happened. It's like, but it didn't. And it's bad to make statements as it did, as you might want to have happened, but that doesn't give you the right to go out there and make a movie about it. And the same with Sharon. And they lived happily ever after. And Susan Atkins got destroyed by a flamethrower in a swimming pool. I mean, I saw the clips of the last 15 minutes of the movie and I was like, not horrified. I was just like appalled going, really?
Yeah.
Really? This is your idea of trying to venerate them? Sorry, I don't find veneration. I find it despicable.
It is. It really is. What was interesting tonight, my son just turned 21 on Wednesday, and when we were getting ready to, we were waiting for you to call in, and he's playing video games with his friend. His room's right next door to my office. And I said, now just keep it down. We were getting ready to record. We've got a guest. And he's like, oh, who's your guest? And I was like, oh, David Oman. And he was like, I don't know who that is. And I was like, okay, well, he built his home about 150 feet away from the Sharon Tate murders. And he goes, I don't know what that is. And I said,
what the Sharon Tate murders are, right?
Yeah. And I said, Charles Manson. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. And I'm like,
Right.
Okay. All right. And I think it got my mom and I to talking about, is that how it's becoming? Because of course, she lived through that. She remembers when it happened. She remembers it being on the news and all of that. And obviously because, I was born in, 77, and I remember, every single time one of them came up for parole. I've read Helter Skelter. So is that, my mom and I got to talking about, is that the way that this story is going to play out generation after generation? Is it going to be, which it should be, I think, where the murderers and the ones who orchestrate it, like Charles Manson, Susan Atkins, all of them, fade from consciousness, essentially. But then that also just sort of then means that maybe then their victims fade away as well, and those are the ones that should be remembered and their stories told, I think. I don't know. What are your takes, guys?
I think it's difficult to say. That's the process of growing older, I guess you could say. And the generations, who knows? You never know that the younger generation might, as you say, might have somebody that's a standard bearer that says, saying we're going to make something, some news. Oh, right, come back here. Guys, might end up taking it as their decision to say, saying we're going to reinvigorate the story and ignite public interest in it. And that's what it takes. Yeah. You got to remember that.
That's true.
Time foreshadows everything and covers everything that's gone before it, and people's interest level dissipates. And until somebody makes a television show or a movie or something else about it and redirect some sunlight or some light onto that.
Yeah.
And it could happen. I mean, it did with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's not say that it didn't bring attention back and public attention to it, but I just think that in what it did, it was a little disingenuous, because I had people that drove up here, talking about the age situation, that were younger, saying, "Where's Cliff's house?" As if it was real. I had to explain that Cliff's house is over in Studio City. That this is the real location, house adjacent on a private drive next to Sharon's down which Cliff lived, because Cliff was a fictional character.
Yeah,
and the fact that you live in a day and age where these fictional characters have become, in some people's minds, real personalities that existed back then.
Yeah,
and fabricated TV shows that they were on, that these fictional characters who never existed could never have been on because they never existed. But people believe these people to be real. It's like Leo DiCaprio is present day alive now. I don't think he was alive in '69.
Yeah, no.
And if he was an infant.
Right. And I'm pretty sure.
Cliff and what's his face, they don't exist, but people don't, the word gullible, it's just people don't really listen or pay attention to things. So it's kind of like you don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think anytime you have that like satanic panic come up, Manson comes up a lot, even after his death. So I think anytime that there's going to be that a crime or something like that comes up that has that undertone, or people are assigning as in the satanic vein, I think you're going to find that Manson comes back up again, and these murders come back up again. And no, it doesn't have, every so often you'll see it, pop back up.
Yeah.
So
or a musician who wants to, utilize the what is it again? The exploit the Manson name or the credit character. That happens.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson. Hello.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Last name Charles Manson.
100%. Manson is a great example of that. Even, Trent Reznor working in that house when he was creating his music, and then, Manson
Downward
and
spiral, right.
Yeah. And then
Right,
keeping
yeah.
the
So all of
door
that.
and yeah.
Putting it in his
Yeah.
record studio that Manson
In
was
New
recording
Orleans. Yeah.
So in New Orleans. So I mean, all of that, has that same vein to it, And then Marilyn Manson got blamed for Columbine a lot, for being an influence to those kids. So I mean, it does come back. It's cyclical.
All right. Well, David, as we wind down to a close, what is your advice to folks that find themselves living in or buying or living in a home that has paranormal activity and spirits? What is your advice to them?
What advice? Deal with it. The spirits treat them with respect is the key word. Respect is the key. When you see something, acknowledge it and say, all right, I saw you. Don't get afraid. We're all going to leave this mortal coil eventually. And the idea that somebody who has before us is coming to visit us is not a threat. It's just their way of saying, hi, how you doing? Just coming in to see you, not going, ugh. They're not rattling a chain and oohing and ahhing. I got constipation. I need some Pepto-Bismol. It's killing me. My bowels are ghostly crap. Oh, if I could only use a ghost toilet. I mean, seriously, that's, acknowledge and say, hey, spirit, what are you doing? All right, what's going on? And they're disarming the spirit by saying, hey, I'm not afraid. They're like, okay, well, as a matter of fact, I got a terrible hemorrhoid here right now. Got any preparation eggs in the spirit section of your house? I need some of that. I mean, there's nothing to be afraid of. Just if it happens, just say, okay, that was cool, and appreciate it, and say, wow, I'm one of the the smallest percentage of human beings that have ever lived that have had an interaction with a paranormal entity or a spirit.
Yes.
Think of yourself as blessed. Don't think of yourself as cursed. You're lucky. You're fortunate because most people are dying to see a ghost.
Right.
And if you have that chance and have the opportunity and have that interaction, you should be like going, wow, that's a trip. That's great. It isn't going to change your life and make you rich and make you famous. I'm sorry. It's like you got the genie in the fucking bottle. It's an incident. And that's what I'm saying to you. It happens. So go on with your life. It's not the end of your life. It's not the beginning of your life. It's just another piece of the puzzle that makes up your life.
A moment of your journey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I really do love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Consider yourself blessed. That's really great. I think that's wonderful.
I do. I have no problem. I applaud the spirit saying, that was cool. I said, I really love that. I said, you move the object. I said, but don't break any more glasses because I've seen you do that before and it pisses me off. So this is good. That is bad. This is good. That is bad. We got a mutual understanding. We're fine.
I think that's wonderful.
Because let me be honest with you. It's not like you can hold him up a piece of kryptonite as if it was real, and you're like, and there's Superman, and oh my God, it's kryptonite.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, there's not a damn thing you can do to a spirit to say, hey, I got rock salt. If you don't get out of here, I'm gonna sprinkle it around in a circle.
This is what
it's like. I like salt. That's why I died.
Right. Right.
Tension. Eating too much fucking salt. You crazy? Give me salt. I love salt. I won't leave.
That's funny. This is what I saw. This is what they said to do on Supernatural. We should try it.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna try this now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I learned it on Supernatural. I learned it on Scooby-Doo. I think if you learn anything of Scooby-Doo was don't trust humans because they're your biggest
They are your biggest
those
threat.
are you gotta watch out for.
Act
1,000%.
Versus a real demon is a ghost.
Yeah.
Right.
I've always said that the living are much more dangerous than the dead are.
I'll say it like this. You have more to fear from the living than you do the dead.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
That's the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth.
Like, I'm in the dead club. Do you want to come join us? Come on with us. No, this isn't the U.S. Army of the dead.
Yeah.
We want you.
Exactly.
It works.
So for everybody,
they say, don't worry, you'll be there in a few years. We're all going to be there because there's an old saying: no one here gets out alive.
No one gets out alive. That's very true.
No one here gets out alive. We all will perish from our mortal coil. Be it at 100, be it at 50 to 60, whatever the age, it doesn't matter.
It matters.
I'm saying you can't escape it.
Yeah, and you don't get a say
coming.
in when it's coming, but you don't have a say as to when either.
Well, there's a lyric from
shouldn't
the
have one
song
anyway.
from Boingo Boingo, and I think it says, "No one lives forever." Hey, and that's the truth.
That is the truth. Yeah.
And says to curse and to promote those that have passed as being somehow turning into devils or demons.
And being terrifying and
And terrifying and rattling chains. Go back to Charles Dickens and stick to your book of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I have to say about that. So.
I love it. I agree with that. I think that's wonderful. I think that's a really wonderful spot to end the episode too. So guys, listen, if you have not yet, please check out there we go. Ghosts of Cielo Drive, The Afterlife of Sharon Tate, and The Spirits of the Oman House. Yes.
And you can get this at ghostofcielodrive.com.
Perfect.
And sign and inscribe every copy that you get. Well, here's a newer version.
Ooh, I like it.
Like it looks the same to me. Yeah, the pictures are a little different though.
It is a little different, yeah.
This is Sharon. No, this is Rudolph Valentino. This is Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And, of course, this is Sharon Tate that graced the cover of my book.
Yes.
Nice.
It's exciting. I can't wait.
That's really cool.
Where can we watch the movie?
You two have to come out and visit.
We will.
The movie, if anybody out there would like to, get in touch with me. This movie that she's speaking of is looking for a home, either for television or Netflix. Let's get this on the air so people can see it and enjoy this interesting take.
Yes.
On the Sharon Tate murders.
100%.
And my story.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I am going to be a little apprehensive now about the scene where they broke into the Arcadia door, because that's how it actually happened at your house. And I'm going to know that. And I'm going to be like, that's really terrifying.
It's going to be way scarier now.
Way scarier.
It's scarier. Like I said, if I make this docuseries, I have to include that clip because that's the real door. That's the real location where it all happened. And you actually have actors portraying the Manson group going in and breaking into the house. It would be just riveting to see people see that. That's not some other house. That's the actual location. That's the actual sliding glass door.
Yeah.
And that's where it all took place. It was just when we made that, when I wrote the scene, I remembered saying, this is part of my life that I'm putting in this movie, really.
Yeah.
People never know unless I get to, explain that. But it's crazy. And like I said, when you guys come out here, we'll screen the movie for you guys privately here at the house.
Great. Okay. That's perfect.
I'm really excited. I would really love to come visit you.
Yeah, and Laura's still in Phoenix, and I'm planning to go back out there in October. So maybe in October, I don't know. I'm sure your house is probably really busy with people wanting to investigate it in October around Halloween.
That doesn't mean I open it up to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right.
We'll
bring you some ribs.
So what? What do I have a sign in my house? It became an open house? No.
I bet people are, because everybody's always wanting to do the veil between the living and the dead is supposedly the thinnest, and let's go and investigate and.
There's no such thing.
Again,
it's BS.
Yeah.
Do you think the ghosts are like this going?
Checking the calendar.
October. Oh my God. Oh my dear God. It's the month of October. Oh,
it's time for us to go out and. They
don't have calendars. Ghosts don't have watches going. It's 3:00 in the morning. It's time to party.
Right? Witching hour. There we go. Exactly. Yeah.
The veil is thinnest. The veil is thinnest when you take it off your freaking eyes and start to realize there's no such thing as the veil being thin or thicker at different times of the year.
I love that.
Right.
I love that.
Do you think the
veil is thinnest when you take it off of your eyes?
Does it get more active during the anniversary? And I go on. Did you celebrate the time that you got divorced? I mean, you might, but was it a happy time?
Right.
You got to die.
Depends on who you're talking to.
You think that's a way to celebrate?
Right.
Yeah. I don't think people, I don't think they're winning.
It's the exact opposite. The place gets more quiet on the actual anniversary. It gets amped up before the anniversary and amped up afterwards like this. But the anniversary generally is pretty mellow.
Yeah. That's interesting.
What did you expect? They're going to be overjoyed and rejoicing with a party because this is the day that they were killed?
That their lives were cut short?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Give me a break. It doesn't work like that. Again, rational applied thought to what you guys think before you ask the question makes more sense than saying, well,
Yeah.
how would I feel if I was a ghost? And it's like, what do you mean? Well, I'm going to die some point. I'm going to be a ghost too. Why does it matter that I shouldn't apply some rational thought to what would happen if I was in their shoes? And then people go, I don't do that because nobody ever does.
That's very true.
And that's,
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all.
Then you go, Jesus Christ, you're right. It's like, yeah, makes you feel a hell of a lot different about your position and your thoughts and your questions and what you believed in so long, and you apply it against what I did. It's like, no, I wouldn't. I mean, some people say, hell yeah, I would have done that because I'm an asshole, and I think I'd be an asshole as a ghost. And I go, well, then that's probably the type of a ghost you'll be. And there are people, again, I say, a ghost is just the remnant of the personality that was once alive. So if you're an asshole when you're alive, you'll probably be a prick when you're dead.
Probably. That's true.
Doesn't mean that you're a demon, though.
Just means you're an asshole.
Just means you're an asshole.
Exactly. You're an asshole that you're a ghost. I'm not surprised.
Although, I don't know, some of my ex-boyfriends, I'm pretty convinced they were close to demons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what that
because
makes
you said
you.
the devil made him do it doesn't mean it was literal.
All right, guys, that is it for this episode of History of a Haunting. David, thank you so much for joining us. Where can folks follow you on social media? You can find David on Twitter.
I gotta see a barber. My God, my hair is so
Don't put him on the spot. He's like, I don't know.
On Twitter, it's _Oman, OMAN 1. On Instagram, it's the Oman House. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/David Oman. That's the channel. And please subscribe. That's the only thing I'd like is people to subscribe. It's free. I have no Patreons. I put on videos whenever something happens. Literally, when the spirit moves me to do so. Like the footage from last night was crazy. I haven't had people here in 5 or 6 months, and the stuff that happened last night was like, this is going to be some good shit to post on YouTube. Yeah,
that's awesome. I can't wait to see that.
That's super cool.
But like I said, I don't do the oh my gosh paranormal. I don't sit there and go, oh my God, you see it. I don't play the hype story. I just give you the footage and say, here's what happened.
Yeah.
You don't ever see me go, oh my God, it's a ghost. Oh my God, it's a ghost. I'm going, oh, cool, it's a ghost.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact that you don't scream every 2 seconds when something happens. That stuff drives me bananas.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
And then when we
if anything happens
when yell, it's usually at the dogs.
Right? Any of the experiences that I've had, we get excited. We're not unhappy. A lot like what you said, like, we're kind of leaning into it, like, oh my God, what
What was that? Did you hear that? Yeah, let's go find out where that came from.
Like, oh man, I can't wait to look and see what comes up on the footage for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not running. It's not scary. It's not.
It's fascinating.
You don't have to be afraid.
And remember, I live alone for the most part. I have friends that come into town from out of town to stay here and stuff. But for the most part, I have to deal with it myself. And I got 3 floors to deal with it on. So it's like when something happens, I go, all right, I heard that. I got to go, oh, look what happened on the 3rd floor. Wow, that's crazy ass stuff. I don't believe that. And that's the luxury of having the cameras is I can review stuff, watch and see. And cats go missing, I can track them down and find out where they hid and stuff. I kid you not.
Handy.
Or when I've lost a set of keys, it's like, all right, get the system. Let's find it. I was in this room. I was, there it is. I know it. And I click since like I remember where I left it.
That actually sounds really handy. Actually,
in more ways than people think.
Right? Yeah.
Just play stuff. I find it really quick.
I love it.
The footage. It's like, oh, there. Oh, that's right. I put it in that drawer. There it is.
Perfect.
So.
Love it. Okay, so he's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He is on YouTube.
I'm not on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. On Facebook, but I really don't take any more friends on Facebook because I'm just disengaging a lot with Facebook. To me, it's
a lot of folks are. Yeah, a lot of folks are.
I don't want to contribute to the Mark Zuckerberg fund, let's say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Laura, why don't you tell everybody where they can follow us?
You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all as well at HOH Podcast. And on the TikTok at HOAH Podcast, at HOH Carrie, and at HOAH co-host Laura.
Yay!
Woo!
All right, guys, that's it. David, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I know you and I have been trying to get you on the show and work it out for 2 years. And like I said, when we had talked, I didn't know what I was doing. I had never interviewed anybody, and I was like real green, no idea. But I'm so glad that you were able to be on the show this week. We will probably be dropping this Saturday, the 5th, March 5th already.
Yeah,
It's already March. Yeesh. Okay. So yes, in a week. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, David, you have been really wonderful. I'm anxious to rewatch the video to see the shadow anomalies that were happening. Yeah, they have ceased. Yeah, they have stopped.
Thank God. Well,
yeah.
I got tired and bored.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, guys, as we always
get out and they go, they're on to us. All right, we're done. Forget it.
Right.
That's what it ceased. It has totally ceased.
Yeah.
Since we called it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has.
100%.
Now it'll start happening. It'll go all black.
Right.
But now,
as we say
like,
here,
you, David, we know what you're up to. You think you're so smart. Well, we're smarter than you. It's like, yeah, you're dead. You obviously outlived me, so I guess you're right. You're smarter than I am.
right. Well, and this is actually perfect timing because, as we say here at the end of every episode of History of a Haunting, stay safe out there because you never know who
Or what?
is listening. And obviously, David's home and his friendly spirits are proof of that. Bye, guys. We will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again, girls. Pleasure.
Thank you, David.